Good afternoon. Welcome to RSBN Live. I'm Matthew Alvarez, looking live there at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. A lot of coverage, as you saw earlier today, with the Canadian Prime Minister visiting the White House. Some great coverage there. Of course, Robert McNeely here live for you, as we are live for a couple events. So we have the DOJ press conference coming up with United States Attorney General Pam Bondi, and then a bit later today at about 3:30, and we'll stay live on this broadcast through that. FIFA World Cup is going to be in Los Angeles next year. So there's this FIFA Task Force meeting with the president at the White House. So obviously a huge event, an international event happening in Los Angeles on June 12th of 2026. So not only the security, with DHS and others, but outside of that, just the planning, the fun, the festivities in Southern California for what is one of the most popular sports, of course, in the world, that being football/soccer, same difference out there. So looking forward to that coverage. We'll see the president a bit later today. Hope you had a great weekend, just getting back off a nice vacation with my family. So looking forward to seeing President Trump a bit later today, and also the United States Attorney General Pam Bondi, who will be live with us right here on RSBN Live as she has a press conference coming up. And we're told it's all about drug enforcement. So we'll hear more about that coming up, and we'll have it here live in its entirety. All of it brought to you by Colonial Metals Group. Colonial Metals Group, freegoldguide.com/RSBN. You see that great QR code there. That's the spot, definitely, to go for the direct access to the website. So with your phone, you can go to the QR code, or also with your phone or your laptop, you can type in freegoldguide.com/RSBN. We know that this is the place to go for gold and for silver. A lot of good information coming out of Colonial Metals Group. Kind of like questions like, why is China now dumping U.S. bonds, grabbing prime American farmland, and rolling out its new digital currency? They're really trying to mess with our dollar. And so within that framework, within that set mindset, having gold and silver for a backup plan in your retirement and savings, maybe shifting over some of those dollars to that great backup. You can get more information about Colonial Metals Group, freegoldguide.com/RSBN. 1:17 Tuesday, May 6th. All right, so we saw a lot of great things happen there with the White House earlier as the Canadian Prime Minister was there. Some call him Mike Corny instead of Mike Carney. Hopefully the guy gets on the right side of history, but at the end of the day, keeping that friendly relations with the foreign leaders is always smart, especially negotiating and getting things done, peace deals or tariff deals or all of that. So we'll be replaying some of that meeting here. If you're just joining us, if you didn't get a chance to watch the entire Oval Office press conference with President Trump and Carney of Canada, we'll replay that for you. Also, within the 24/7 news cycle, I haven't been able to see it myself, so we can watch it together. The executive orders that were signed yesterday at the Oval Office. I know about some of the news items out of it, but I did not get a chance to watch it in its entirety, so we'll replay that for you as well. Shifting now to the National Football League. As you guys know, Washington, D.C. in 2027 will be home of the NFL Draft. Over the past few days, I actually watched that movie with Kevin Costner called Draft Day. So if you want to kind of get a feel for what it's like behind the scenes, it's a pretty cool movie, Draft Day, out of the Cleveland Browns there. And that was a movie a few years back. But again, so 2027 will be NFL Draft Day. Here's the video from the White House.
To reveal that the 2027 NFL Draft will be held right here in our nation's capital, Washington, D.C., on the National Mall. Hundreds of thousands of football fans will travel all across our country to cheer them on in person. I think this is the greatest sight there is anywhere in the world for exactly what you guys are doing.
Mr. President, thank you. We're honored to be here in the Oval Office and to have you announce the 2027 NFL Draft.
So obviously the White House involved in national sports. I mean, we're seeing a FIFA meeting later for soccer/international sports. Of course, we've seen the Ohio State Buckeyes there, the Florida Panthers there, the Eagles the other day. Obviously, a big part of our country is the sports arena. However, it was great to see our president also say no men in women's sports. So a lot of great things happening in that arena right now with the White House. But on top of all of that, as you guys know, an unprecedented White House, an unprecedented president doing unprecedented things, and it's great to cover it here as we are unprecedented ourselves in a way. Conservative media is not that old, right? It's been around for not too many years. Of course, Rush Limbaugh kicking everything off back in the day, but wow, it's been quite the ride to see all the coverage, especially here at Right Side, of all of the rallies and all of the speeches and the remarks and the events and all of these live pieces of video you see from the White House, which we will be seeing a bit later again at 3:30. Also, we're standing by, as you see on the bottom of your screen, for the United States Attorney General Pam Bondi to hold that press conference. Looking forward to hearing what she has to say about drug enforcement. When I think of drug enforcement, I think of the Coast Guard, I think of the Navy, I think of Point Loma, California, off the coast of the waters there in the Pacific Ocean, where our Coast Guard and, in some cases, Navy collaborate with the Customs Border Protection to intercept illegal aliens in the sense of people trying to get into our country illegally, and they have narcotics on their boats. There's a lot of times where it's around 12, 13, 14 of the illegal aliens on a boat, and they have a bunch of packs of narcotics, including fentanyl. And that is not only on the West Coast, of course, it's all the way through our southern United States, all the way around Texas, and the areas there of the Gulf of America, and then out to the Atlantic as well. So we've seen pretty recently the DHS Secretary Kristi Noem and others talking about, including the FBI Director, of course, Kash Patel, talking about the amount of narcotics and fentanyl included seized at our waterways. The Coast Guard doing an absolutely great job, doing the job of what the Commander-in-Chief wants. The drugs to stop flowing in, the illegal aliens to stop flowing in, and the crime to come down in this country. So that's another thing, on top of the sports aspect of what President Trump is, collaborating with and his team today, FIFA, of course, for next year's World Cup. But you go to that next level of immigration and the illegals that are trying to come into our country, but that has stopped at this point. They may be trying through the waterways and that kind of thing, but it's really a real secure border on the southern border. And then next would be the narcotics, making the drugs stop coming in. So this this DOJ press conference will be with the United States Attorney General Pam Bondi. So we'll sit here, we'll watch the entire press conference, and we'll hear the announcements about drug enforcement. We'll also watch in its entirety within the 24/7 news cycle yesterday's executive order signing by the president in the Oval Office. And on top of that, if you missed this morning's meeting with the Canadian Prime Minister, the Oval Office meeting, we can replay that as well. Meantime, we know that President Trump has signed a number of executive orders within the 24/7 news cycle, which we'll check out in just a minute. Looking ahead into May, on May 13th through the 16th, of course, that's next week, President Trump will be in 3 Middle Eastern countries: Qatar, the United Arab Emirates, and Saudi Arabia. That's the 13th through the 16th. You can count on us for coverage. Also, shifting to May 24th, the President of the United States will deliver a commencement address in New York at West Point for the Army. Speaking of the Great Army, the 250th celebration military parade is on June 14th. June 14th, of course, is Flag Day here in America. It's President Trump's birthday. And also on top of that, we're going to see this huge military parade on the 14th. So a lot upcoming. Those are some of the bigger highlights. But of course, day to day, today alone, seeing the Canadian Prime Minister with the President, covering that earlier. And then a bit later, we'll have this press conference, of course, with Pam Bondi. And then that FIFA Task Force meeting at around 3:30. We'll be live with that. So looking forward to all that coverage today as we continue on, as today is, again, Tuesday, May 6th, 1:24 Eastern. Let's go to one of our other great sponsors, All Family Pharmacy. Imagine if you need a medication and being told you just can't have it. Not because it's out of stock, but because someone decided you shouldn't have access. Well, it's already happened. We've seen it happen in the past, and it can happen again. So when others make it complicated, All Family Pharmacy makes it simple. Just the medications you want when you need them without jumping through hoops. So they have all sorts of medications, ivermectin and methylene blue, along with many more. You can see the information there on your screen. We interviewed the owner and founder of this great company just last week. And it's awesome to see companies, especially conservative patriots, that say, you know what, well, if other doctors aren't going to allow you to have ivermectin, well, you can get it with us. It's a lot easier. So the website, allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN, 10% off using that RSBN 10 code. Again, the kinds of medications your local pharmacy won't touch and your doctor won't even mention, but you know that they work. So there you go. allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. 1:25 Eastern, Tuesday, May 6th. Let's take a look at the executive orders signed by the president within the 24/7 news cycle. As soon as we see live footage coming from the Department of Justice, we'll take you from right here in this studio over to Washington, D.C., where we'll hear from Pam Bondi. But until then, let's go to that 24/7 news cycle story. Just yesterday, President Trump signing executive orders in the Oval Office.
Today, and some important statements to make about what we're doing in the world of medicine with Bobby and the group. And maybe will do something which will be very enlightening, and I think people are going to like it. But it was a little gift that's being presented. So, Will, do you want to take over?
Yes, sir. So earlier today, the House of Representatives transmitted this over for you. This is a record of the Electoral College votes in the 2024 election. It shows your total of 312 votes. And the letter opener at the bottom of this framed display is actually one of the letter openers that was used to open the electoral votes during the counting.
That's great. How many votes did the other side get?
Less than you, sir, significantly.
By how much?
I don't want to get this wrong. It was 226.
Oh. But the news said it was going to be the other way around, right?
The news said it was going to be a lot
No,
closer.
they said that it was going to be a lot closer than that. It wasn't close. So 312 to 226, that's pretty good, right? Okay, that's good. Thank you. I thank them for me. That's very nice.
Yes, sir, we'll tell the Speaker. We have a number of executive orders for your attention today, sir. The first relates to gain-of-function research. Gain-of-function research is a type of biomedical research where pathogens are adulterated, viruses are adulterated to make them more potent or to change the way that they function. Many people believe that gain-of-function research was one of the key causes of the COVID pandemic that struck us in the last decade. What this executive order does, first of all, it provides powerful new tools to enforce the ban on federal funding for gain-of-function research abroad. It also strengthens other oversight mechanisms related to that issue and creates an overarching strategy to ensure that biomedical research in general is being conducted safely and in a way that ultimately protects human health more.
It's a big deal. Could have been that we wouldn't have had the problem we had. Right?
A lot of people say that, sir.
If we had this done earlier. Thank you. Okay, go ahead.
Many actions that you've taken so far in this administration, sir, are related to onshoring manufacturing and onshoring supply chains. One of the most important supply chain issues we currently face as a country is our pharmaceutical supply chain. This is an executive order intended to promote domestic manufacturing of pharmaceuticals. It streamlines the permitting processes that go into building domestic pharmaceutical manufacturing sites. It centers a lot of the environmental permitting process, which is quite significant within the EPA, and it takes other actions designed to ensure that we're bringing pharmaceutical jobs and pharmaceutical manufacturing back to the United States of America.
Okay, good. That's what it's all about, right? Very important. We're going to have a big announcement next week on some of this kind of thing, but more related to costs, the costs of medicines and drugs, because we're being ripped off, as you know, very badly, being ripped off compared to the rest of the world. Go ahead.
Next, we have a series of proclamations for your attention, sir. This is a proclamation declaring National Mental Health Awareness Month. Mental health and that basket of issues has been a major priority for Secretary Kennedy since he got into office. It's been a major priority for your administration. This is just a proclamation declaring this month to be National Mental Health Awareness Month.
Okay. See, no auto pen. Isn't it nice? Isn't it nice to have a president that doesn't need an auto pen? so that somebody that you have no idea who the person is, who's actually the president of our country, they ought to look into that auto pen stuff. That's not right, what took place for 4 years. Very important. Go ahead.
Thank you, sir. Next, this is another proclamation declaring this week to be National Small Business Week. As you've said many times before, small business is actually big business. Small businesses are key drivers of the American economy. Your administration has taken quite dramatic steps to improve small business, to help small businesses. This is just a proclamation that recognizes those efforts and announces the National Small Business Week.
Good. And before I go any further, I'd like to just, as you see behind me, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is doing a fantastic job. Director Jay Bhattacharya, National Institute of Health, and a very special person. I interviewed him personally. I liked him immediately. I interviewed a lot of people, but I liked him. Dr. Martin McCary, likewise, FDA commissioner, who's really in there plugging hard, right? Yes. But we have some big things coming up, and everybody knows. So I just wanted to thank all of you. Vince Haley's around here someplace. Where's Vince? Vince is great. Come on up here, Vince. You should be up here. He's been with me for a long time. He's an expert on policy and speech writing, too, along with Ross, right?
Yes, sir.
Great. It's great to have you all. Bobby, do you have anything to say? We signed some very important documents having to do with health. Do you have anything to say?
Mr. President, a gain of function, this is an historic day, the end of gain of function research funding by the federal government and also controls by private corporations on gain of function studies. This was the kind of study that was engaged in by the United States military and intelligence agencies beginning in 1947. By 1969, the CIA said that they had reached nuclear equivalency, that they could kill the entire U.S. population for 29 cents a person. That year, President Nixon went to Fort Detrick and announced a unilateral end to this kind of research, what they called dual-use research, research that was for vaccination and also for military purposes. He then persuaded over 180 countries to sign the Bioweapons Charter in 1973. That basically ended gain-of-function research around the globe until 2002. Or 2001, after the anthrax attacks, we passed the Patriot Act, and the Patriot Act had a provision, a little-known provision in it, that said that although the Bioweapons Charter is still in effect, and the Geneva Convention is still in effect, U.S. federal officials who violate it cannot be prosecuted. And that relaunched a bioweapons arms race, and that was driven by gain-of-function research. In 2014, 3 of those bugs escaped from U.S. labs, and President Obama declared a moratorium on future use, and instead a lot of that research was moved offshore to the Wuhan lab. And it launched bioweapons arms race all around the country, all around the world, so that China's engaged in it, developing all kinds of weapons using AI and CRISPR technologies that are really devastating. Russia is deeply engaged in it, Iran and many other countries. It's a kind of weapon that always has blowback. There's always bad news. And the justification for this kind of weaponry was, and these kind of research, was always that we have to do this to develop vaccines to counter a future pandemic. In all of the history of gain-of-function research, we can't point to a single good thing that's come from it. And today I commend President Trump for his courage and his vision in ending U.S. bioweapons research. And Jay, I'd love you to talk a little bit about it.
Yeah, Jay, please.
Sure. This is a historic day. The conduct of this dangerous gain-of-function research, which aims at taking pathogens and making them more virulent, more transmissible in humans, many scientists believe is responsible for the COVID pandemic. The conduct of this research does not protect us against pandemics, as some people might say. It doesn't protect us against other nations. What it does is there's always a danger that in doing this research, it might leak out just by accident even, and cause a pandemic. Any nation that engages in this research endangers their own population as well as the world, as we saw during the COVID pandemic. This proclamation makes it so that most science is actually poses no
historic Sinaloa cartel arrest, and it marks the most significant victory in our nation's fight against fentanyl and drug trafficking to date. This multi-agency operation led by DEA with our local, state, tribal, and federal partners targeted one of the largest and most dangerous drug trafficking and foreign terrorist organizations in our country. The DEA seized 11.5 kilos of fentanyl, including an astounding approximately 3 million fentanyl pills, the largest seizure in our nation's history. These are the pills in the bags right there. The main bottom right, the head of this organization, Sinaloa organization, here in the country illegally, 6 of these guys and women here in the country illegally. His name is Alberto Salazar Amaya. He is the leader, and he was living in Salem, Oregon. With him, they got millions of dollars, cash, cars, but the drugs were in Albuquerque, Phoenix, and Utah. That's how insulated these drug dealer cartel leaders make themselves. This was an incredible operation, and that's why I wanted all of you here behind me. It took months and months of work, investigation, leading up to smaller buys, smaller cases, to get this massive amount of drugs and guns off our streets. $5 million approximately in cash, 35 kilos of methamphetamine, 35 kilos of meth, 7.5 kilos of cocaine, 4.5 kilos of heroin, 49 rifles and pistols, all shown in the pictures. And then, of course, the 3 million pills. These pills were stamped as oxycodone. Let that sink in. 3 million pills going on our streets, 3 million pills, the streets of our country, laced with fentanyl, labeled as oxycodone. And they were in all different strengths of fentanyl within them. This operation was made possible by over 55,000 hours of law enforcement investigation. And this is a really dangerous job that these DEA agents face every day, but they are getting very dangerous drugs off of our streets each day. They are flooding our cities with a weapon of mass destruction, fentanyl. And when we catch you, like all of these individuals, if convicted, we will put you behind bars, there will be no negotiating, and we will lock you up for as long as humanly possible. We will not negotiate with those who are killing our family members, including brothers, sisters, daughters, sons, parents, friends. Everyone in this room, I guarantee you, knows someone who has been afflicted with drug addiction, and many who have known someone who has lost a loved one because of this trash on our streets. The precursors are made in China. It was sent to Mexico and came right in our country. And again, 6 of these individuals were here illegally. That won't shock you. And we're running a massive, massive drug operation. This kind of success doesn't happen without extraordinary leadership. And I want to personally thank my friend, DEA Principal Deputy Administrator Rob Murphy, DEA El Paso Division Chief, Agent in Charge Omar Ariello. I'm killing your name, Omar. Omar, okay. And U.S. Attorney, where's Ryan? Ryan Ellison. I also want to thank again the brave men and women of law enforcement. Last week I joined them at a DEA laboratory, and we went there, and it was truly remarkable what we saw, how quickly these cartels can manufacture and make fentanyl powder and put it into these pills. But people need to know, parents need to know, kids need to know, this fentanyl, this bus, these 3 million pills were oxycodone. They put this in Xanax, they put this in Adderall, they put this in Molly, the date drug or the party drug, something called Molly. They put it in cocaine, and they put it in marijuana. And it is to get you so highly addicted that you can't get off it. 75,000 Americans are dying each year because of fentanyl. 75,000. And that's why this is so important today. You've got to spread the word. If you know anyone who is taking any recreational drugs, they need to be extremely careful, because there is a very high likelihood it could be laced with fentanyl. And that's one of the reasons 75,000 Americans are losing their lives each day. It is the #1 cause of death for individuals between 18 and 34 in our country. More seizures are coming. More arrests are coming. I guarantee you that. And these dealers, these sellers, these street-level sellers better look out, because we will not be negotiating with you. We will bring you to justice, and we will not stop until this poison is off of our streets in our country. It is my honor to introduce my friend with DEA, Rob Murphy. Thank you again.
Thank you. Thank you, Attorney General Bondi. Good afternoon. First off, I'd like to take a second and thank the men and women at DEA, along with our partners, U.S. Marshals, IRS, obviously U.S. Attorney's Office, who made this 6-month investigation happen. Without their tenacity, there was many obstacles that they faced throughout this investigation. And let me reiterate what the Attorney General Bondi said so well. This was a major drug trafficking organization led by Alberto Salazar Amaya, operating in the United States with no regard at all for the disruption to families, addiction, and ultimately death that was probably caused for the distribution. That nearly $5 million in cash represents poison that was distributed throughout at least 6 states that we were able to identify in this country, and who knows where it went when it was sold to that first level. Obviously a major organization. This team was able to infiltrate the organization at every level. We knew how the drugs were being brought into the U.S. We've identified the main players in Mexico who belong to the Sinaloa cartel, who was recently designated by this administration as a foreign terrorist organization. We are exploiting them at every level. We continue to do that. We expect more out of this investigation. Could not be more proud of the men and women that put their lives on the line every day, doing this job, working through the obstacles to make sure that the communities they live in, the communities we all live in, continue to be as safe they can be. So thank you, Attorney General Bondi, for giving us the attention it needs, and look forward to see what will happen in the future. And so with that, I'd like to introduce U.S. Attorney Ryan Ellison.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ryan Ellison, and I'm the United States Attorney for the District of New Mexico. I'm going to give you a brief overview of the investigation that dismantled one of the largest and most dangerous fentanyl operations in United States history. This case involved coordinated efforts from federal, state, tribal, and local law enforcement agencies across multiple states. As a result of this ongoing investigation, 16 individuals have been arrested, including the alleged leader, Heriberto Salazar Amaya, an illegal alien from Mexico with 2 prior removals and direct ties to the Mexican cartel. In Albuquerque alone, authorities seized staggering quantities of illegal drugs and assets, including over 2.7 million fentanyl pills, 11.5 kilograms of concentrated fentanyl powder, 7 pounds of methamphetamine, multiple kilograms of heroin and cocaine, 41 firearms, to include ghost guns and weapons modified for automatic fire, more than $600,000 in cash, and numerous luxury vehicles. This sophisticated fentanyl and narcotics distribution network spanned New Mexico, Arizona, Nevada, Oregon, and Utah, and was responsible for distributing lethal narcotics throughout the western United States. The sheer scale and potency of this fentanyl is sobering, with enough lethal doses to kill countless Americans. All defendants face serious federal charges related to conspiracy and distribution of fentanyl, along with additional charges for firearms offenses and immigration violations in certain cases. I would like to thank the DEA's El Paso division, primarily the Albuquerque field office, as well as many other DEA field offices across the western United States, our local and federal partners, and the assistant U.S. attorneys that are prosecuting this case. Together, we have sent a clear message. We will not tolerate those who profit from poisoning American citizens. The fight continues, but today, our communities are safer with these drugs and criminals off the streets. Thank you.
I just want to add one thing. I was briefed before this by all of the agencies together, and the coordination with the AUSAs and DEA and the law enforcement agencies is truly remarkable. Thank you all. And again, be safe out there every day. They're out there risking their lives every day to save us and keep us safe. So thank you all. I think we're going to take a couple questions, but we are going to remain on topic today because we are here for something so serious. And I had wanted to walk out first and let you all hold this. This is how much fentanyl it takes to kill you. So if you want to come up and look at this after in this vial, you're welcome to. It looks like just a few grains of salt, and this is what it takes to kill you.
Just a reminder, we're staying on topic today.
Go ahead.
Madam Attorney General, I was wondering if you're seeking to deport the 6 illegal aliens who are here or to charge them first and then seek to deport them. I know there's been a number of high-profile arrests you guys have made where you've made the decision to just go after deportation versus criminal trial. Yeah.
This guy is the leader. He's the number one guy. And I want them to stay in our prisons as long as possible. I've no desire to send them back to Mexico because they were coming across our border illegally. No longer will they be able to do that. But the amount of drugs, the amount of money, the amount of weapons, most of these individuals, if convicted, will remain in American prisons. Perhaps Alcatraz.
Mary Margaret, Daily Wire.
Thank you, Attorney General Bondi. Can you give us more information on some of these individuals up there, and can you also share whether you've had any success in getting the Mexican government to help you extradite any of these cartel members?
We will be hopefully working with them on one soon. But yes, Mexico has been cooperating in the past. I think we extradited 29 here to our country to face charges. Some of the top cartel members in our nation's history, some of the worst, and we brought them here. One, in fact, is at the Kiki Camarena, right? The one, I can't think of his name. He killed Rafael, yeah. He killed Kiki Camarena, a DEA agent in the 80s. And Kiki Camareno's widow and son family had been trying to get this guy back since the 80s and could not do it. And President Trump, working hand in hand with Mexico, was able to get him back to this country. And we spoke to Kiki Camareno's widow and son, and they were both in tears. His son is now a judge, and his son had his father's handcuffs and had them engraved. And I think at some point that monster who tortured and murdered his father will be wearing those handcuffs. But he's now in American custody, along with, I think, 28 others that we were able to extradite with President Trump working with Mexico to stop this really reign of terror and this poison coming into our country.
I think we have time for one more. Jake.
You said that these individuals will not be deported. Can you tell us any specifics on charges and any specifics on the investigation on how this actually went down, how they were captured?
So the investigation is ongoing. I can tell you it was a lot of work, a lot of great police work is all I'll say now. But I don't want to really reveal their sources and methods of how they captured and caught these guys. But what I will tell you, the top guy who I keep pointing to, he insulated himself. He was in Oregon. He had no drugs on him, but he was the leader. He had millions of dollars. He had a Mercedes. He had a truck. He had other things, but he did not have any drugs on him because he was the leader. And that's what these cartels do, whether it's Sinaloa, whether it's MS-13, whether it's TDA. The highest leaders insulate themselves. Just like the TDA guy, you may have been with us in Virginia. When we arrested him, not even half an hour away from here, he didn't have any drugs on him either. That's what they do. They live among us. They live in neighborhoods because they are the top level.
So what will the charges be?
Oh, I'm sorry. Multiple, what are the charges, guys? The multiple drug trafficking, conspiracy to traffic, multiple drug charges. But depending on the time, they need to serve their time in an American prison to keep them off the streets. And who knows where they would go next. They're part of one of the largest drug trafficking organizations and one of the most frightening cartels.
Alana, last one.
Go ahead.
How are you making the decision about whether to put on trial in the U.S. defendants who are living in the U.S. illegally? You said you want this man to stand trial in the U.S., but in another case, someone who was alleged to be a top MS-13 member, the department moved to dismiss that case and is going to deport that person. How are you making that decision about whether to bring?
Sure. Based on the time that they can receive in prison. If these people are all facing substantial charges, that might change down the road, and they all are innocent until proven guilty. If convicted, though, they're facing a substantial amount of time in prison. And there's a very big risk, we all know, releasing someone, especially to Mexico. Sending them back to Mexico, who knows? They could attempt to get through our borders, not under Donald Trump, I doubt. But they're also part of a major drug trafficking ring in Mexico. So sending them back to Mexico to continue on with their drug business isn't going to happen under this administration. Thank you all. And if you want to see this, Alana, you may have seen this before, but if you all want to see this, it really puts it in perspective how deadly this stuff is. And that's what I'd wanted you all to see. Thank you all.
We'll do a group photo.
Oh, great.
Okay, so you were watching a live press conference there at the Department of Justice with the United States Attorney General Pam Bondi, of course. That's a picture of the West Wing of the White House. I believe that is a live picture right now, so that would be the Canadian Prime Minister, Mark Carney, would be exiting to get into that vehicle there. So, meantime, I'd like to report to you a number of the comments on Rumble and YouTube while that press conference was going. Of course, it's great for drug enforcement to happen in our country and to see that being taken care of. I also saw a number of people talking about various other issues, comments about justice being served for various people that have broken the law. I also saw some comments of people asking about the Epstein list. So there is a lot to be covered here, of course. But again, Real Americans sounding off on Rumble, YouTube, and elsewhere. We see you, we hear you, and we're covering what's happening there, of course, at the White House. And we're looking forward to seeing a bit later today President Trump's meeting with the FIFA Task Force. If you remember, FIFA, the World Cup, will be in Los Angeles June 12th of next year. So we'll be looking forward to that as well. So many great things about to happen here in our country as we continue to see all of the wins by President Trump, all of the promises made, promises kept. And we're monitoring it as best we can here at Right Side Broadcasting Network. We got a lot of live feeds, of course, recorded feeds as well from the Oval Office there. Speaking of that, before the press conference started with Pam Bondi, we were playing also the executive orders within that 24/7 news cycle just yesterday from the Oval Office. We'll get back to that, and then we'll be back right after that for more live coverage.
nation that engages in this research endangers their own population as well as the world, as we saw during the COVID pandemic. This proclamation makes it so that most science is actually poses no threat to human populations. The vast majority of science will go on under this as normal. But the fraction of this research that has the risk of causing a pandemic, harming every single person on the face of the earth, we're going to put it, this proclamation, this executive order puts in place a framework to make sure that the public has a say, that if such a risk is being taken, that only scientists alone won't be able to decide that. That in fact the public can say, no, don't take this risk. And I'm really, really proud to be here with President Trump, who's signed this order, ending this research, and for the first time putting in place a real regulatory framework to make it go away forever.
So it can leak out like from Wuhan, and a lot of people think that. I think I said that right from day one. It leaked out whether it was to the girlfriend or somebody else, but scientists walked outside to have lunch with a girlfriend or was together with a lot of people, but that's how it leaked out, in my opinion, and I've never changed that opinion. So it can leak out innocently, stupidly, incompetently, but innocently, and half destroy the world, right?
That's right. That's right, Mr. President. It's
Mr. President, there are, I think, 3 leaks on BSL-3 and BSL-4 labs, our highest rated laboratories, almost every week. There's no laboratory that does this right. There's no laboratory that's immune from leaks, and this is going to prevent those kind of inadvertent leaks from happening in the future and endangering humanity. The COVID outbreak cost 20 million lives and cost the world at least $25 trillion. And this executive order is a precaution against us being involved in that kind of research in the future.
That's great. Very honored to do this. Marty, what do you have to say?
Yeah, it's unbelievable to think the entire nightmare of COVID was likely preventable. And you had good instincts early on, Mr. President, in suggesting it came from the Wuhan lab. That is now the leading theory among scientists. It was 5 miles from the hospital where it first broke out. So it's crazy to think that this entire nightmare was probably the result of some scientists messing with Mother Nature in a laboratory with technology exported from the United States, that is inserting a furin cleavage site. So I hope this does some good in the world, Mr. President. Thank you for doing it.
Anybody have any questions on that? Yes, please.
On the proclamation designating this Mental Health Awareness Month, can you speak to concerns people are having regarding your administration cutting $1 billion in mental health programs from schools?
Well, we're looking very closely at waste, fraud, and abuse, of which there's tremendous amount. People on that shouldn't be on, illegal immigrants on, people that came into the country illegally. We have many of them, and we're looking for that. But for the population that's supposed to be there, it's perfecto. And they want us to do that. They don't want to have the waste, the fraud, and the fraud is big, by the way, or the abuse. Question? Yeah, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. I actually have a question for Secretary Kennedy, if you don't mind.
Go ahead.
You mentioned the anthrax attacks of 2001. At Zero Hedge, we're working on a piece revisiting that, and I've heard you speak at length about how that was likely a conspiracy from the inside of the Bush administration. So with your new current position, would you consider re-looking into that, given the questions that I've heard you raise in the past?
Well, we're not at this moment going back. I mean, the FBI has already done an extensive investigation. They said that the anthrax was Ames anthrax. That came from a U.S. lab. Their accusation was that it was released by a scientist called Bruce Ivins, who subsequently committed suicide. There are many people who believe that Bruce Ivins was falsely accused and that it was somebody else in the lab. It's not something that we're currently investigating, but it's something that the FBI, the fact that it came from a U.S. lab is something the FBI determined.
Yeah, please.
There have been several MAHA-aligned bills being proposed throughout the country, and I wanted to know what your thought was on that and the progress that Secretary Kennedy is making, first. And second, when you, no, I'm sorry, let's answer.
Right. You want to go ahead?
I mean, we've had wave. I think we have MAHA legislation now in 36 states. In the past 2 or 3 weeks, I've been to Arizona, to Utah, to West Virginia, to Indiana, to sign SNAP waivers, to get candy and soda off of SNAP, to change the school lunch program so that we're feeding our kids food instead of food-like substances that are made in laboratories, and to do a number of other initiatives that are being passed by, that are being driven by local MAHA movement, inspired by the president, and that are being signed into law by various governors. And we're very, very grateful for that. We've invited, Brooke Rollins and myself have invited the governors of all the states to apply for SNAP waivers, so we make sure that the supplemental nutrition assistance program is actually paying for nutrition and not sodas. 10% is now going to soda. There's no nutrition in a soda.
And at the same time, you have like 19 attorneys general suing you and the Trump administration. Like, what do you make of that?
Who are they? Are they Democrats? Are they Democrats? Like crooked Democrats? Like really crooked Democrats? Is that who's suing? They know what they're doing.
And what do you
They're just hurting our country. That's all. These are very dishonest people. They've lost their way. They've lost their confidence. They have no confidence. They have no idea what they're doing. They don't even know what they're suing for. So it's just one of those things. Yeah, please.
Mr. President, on the pharmaceutical side, have you made any determination on kind of what those tariff rates may look like and the timing of those?
I have. I'll announce it over the next 2 weeks. Okay. Will, please.
Oh, sorry.
Do you have anything to say about this morning, what we just discussed?
We have had this crazy system in the United States where American pharma manufacturers in the United States are put through the ringer with inspections. And the foreign sites get off easy with scheduled visits while we have surprise visits in the United States. Well, a scheduled visit is no inspection. So we are at the FDA delivering on this promise in the president's executive order and switching from announced to surprise inspections overseas. We're also not going to have our inspectors hanging out for 3 or 4 weeks. They're going to get in and out, and we're going to do more inspections with the same resources as a result.
Good. Jay?
I mean, I think it's very, very important that Americans have a drug supply, a pharmaceutical supply that they can count on. We saw during the COVID pandemic that the reliance on overseas production of pharmaceuticals led to shortages of essential medicines, and that's happened over and over again. Making America produce the drugs that's long been able to produce is a huge priority, and this executive order the president just signed is going to make that possible.
Vince, you're a big policy person. You've done so great for me for so long. What do you think?
Oh, sir, you've always said it's vitally important that we have national self-sufficiency when it comes to critical pharmaceuticals. We learned that in 2020. It was a key campaign promise. We've seen shortages in the past of critical cancer drugs, people on chemotherapy. We have to produce those here at home, and this is an important contribution to doing that.
Good. Thank you. Any questions of them? Okay.
Just 2 more, sir. We have a slate of 39 Senate-confirmed senior officials of your administration. This slate includes a significant number of new U.S. attorneys. Those will be the top prosecutors in judicial districts around the country, will prosecute crime and help advance your agenda.
Okay, it's a lot of people, and they're very good people. I hope. Who knows? But I hope so. Okay, thank you.
And then lastly, sir, we have another proclamation. This week is National Hurricane Preparedness Week. This is an issue that's particularly important, obviously, to your home state of Florida. This is just a proclamation recognizing National Hurricane Preparedness Week 2025.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I want to thank you. So we're going to be having some conferences next week. I'll also be going to Saudi Arabia and other places. We'll be going to UAE and Qatar. And some of you will be going with us. So have an interesting time. But I think we're going to have another conference next week, which will be very important, having to do with the world of the medical. And I think it will be very productive. These are really very important that we signed today. And thank you very much for being here. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everybody.
You guys don't mind.
All right, just from that 24/7 news cycle just yesterday with the executive orders being signed at the Oval Office, now looking live on the right side of your screen outside the West Wing as we get ready to see the Canadian Prime Minister get into that vehicle and go on his way. Of course, we will be able to replay a bit of that Oval Office meeting that happened this morning, just in case you missed it here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. Once again, it's RSBN Live. I'm Matthew Alvarez. Thanks so much for streaming in with us here at 2:06 Tuesday, May 6th. Also, May is Military Appreciation Month. The Department of Defense just posted a video. We're going to be playing that for you once it's ready here. And as we get ready for a little bit later in the day, we'll see this meeting with President Trump and the FIFA Task Force. That will be at the White House. Again, this is all about the FIFA World Cup. That'll be in Los Angeles next year, June 12th, 2026. Speaking of some dates, let's go to some dates once again. You just heard from President Trump saying that he'll be in the Middle East. This is a announcement, of course, just confirming what Press Secretary Carolyn Leavitt said a couple weeks back, that between May 13th and the 16th, the president would be at Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and the UAE during the 13th through the 16th. On the 24th, he'll be sharing a commencement speech at West Point in New York, of course, with the Army. And then June 14th, Flag Day here in America, of course, President Trump's birthday. But outside of all of those great things will be a U.S. Army 250th celebration, a huge military parade for our U.S. Army on June 14th. So just a few items in this month and next month. And of course, a lot more gets filled into the gaps when it comes to various live events that we have. You just saw the DOJ press conference. We just watched a little bit of yesterday's Oval Office executive order signing. We'll be watching the Oval Office meeting from this morning as well with the Canadian Prime Minister as we await the FIFA Task Force meeting coming up a bit later today. Again, thanks so much for joining us live. All brought to you by some great sponsors, including MyPillow.com. The RSBN promo code goes a long way, of course, with MyPillow.com. You see there all colors, all sizes for the Percale bed sheets. $25 is the price for that. So mypillow.com/RSBN. Let's go to callsheet.com/RSBN as well. There's a number of great things you can ask questions about, trade, bet on there on callsheet.com. So when it's science, technology, or weather, sports, politics, all sorts of things that you can trade and bet on, callsheet.com/RSBN. Another great sponsor here at Right Side Broadcasting Network as it's 2:08. Let's talk about what we've been hearing a lot about. The White House Deputy Chief of Staff of Policy, Stephen Miller, being called on stage just last week in Warren, Michigan, being brought up to the press briefing last week as well with Carolyn Leavitt. He says this on X just a few days ago: the choice facing illegals, A, leave now and get free flight and exit bonus. I'm not sure about how much an exit bonus is, but that's what he said on X. Or B, refuse to leave and face a fine of $1,000 a day, prosecution and imprisonment, forfeiture of all assets, garnishment of all wages, confiscation of all property, deportation whenever and wherever we choose. So those are the two options. Leave now and get a free flight plus an exit bonus, or what I just mentioned. So that from Stephen Miller. Recently also, President Donald Trump, for the win again, signed that executive order ending the taxpayer subsidization of NPR and PBS, entities that receive tens of millions of dollars in taxpayer funds each year to spread radical woke propaganda disguised as news. Now, I know that that is so-called old news. That's been from a few days ago, But I do want to highlight the last part there from President Trump, saying that these entities received tens of millions of dollars of our taxes each year to spread radical woke propaganda disguised as news. So when you have a leftist media outlet or mainstream media, they're spreading radical woke propaganda disguised as news. Isn't that truth? We know that that's common sense now. We didn't know that the fake news was lying to us constantly every day for the past 30 years. Some of us did. Some of us said, oh, they're biased. Well, yeah, biased to anti the truth, biased to a bunch of confusion and weakness and things trying to control what the people think. Well, now that many of us have woken up from that nightmare called the fake news media, we see that the president used these choice words here, that the entities, PBS and NPR, receive the taxpayer dollars, funds each year to spread radical woke propaganda disguised as news. So that's why it's fake news. I mean, I know most of you know that, but it's just interesting to see there's different ways to describe this fake news, and propaganda disguised as news with quotes is a great way to put it. So that from the president. We'll also get into President Trump's post in just a minute about Tina Peters. To free Tina Peters. We'll talk more about that in just a second, as the Department of Defense just posted this video for May, Military Appreciation Month for May. There you go.
He's going to do what he promised to do on the campaign trail.
He ain't no lame duck. If anything, he's a soaring eagle.
47 means business.
He's a man of his word.
My administration has launched the most sweeping border and immigration crackdown in American history. We will make America wealthy again.
The White House is holding all the cards.
My fellow Americans, this is Liberation Day. Our country will be woke no longer.
President Trump's been clear. We are turning the page on DEI.
We've ended the tyranny of so-called diversity, equity, and inclusion policies all across the entire federal government. I'm going to close the Department of Education and move education back to the states.
He is gutting liberal Washington, D.C. in a way that they say could be permanent.
We're going to also slash something else, the waste in our bloated federal bureaucracy. And to that end, I have created the brand new Department of Government Efficiency.
DOJ savings $162 billion.
We will strengthen and modernize our military.
The U.S. military is on a recruiting comeback. The Navy says it's on track for its best year since 2002.
Over 50,000 recruits have raised their right hand to join the Army so far this fiscal year.
We will keep men out of women's sports. From now on, women's sports will be only for women. I will terminate Lion Kamala's electric vehicle mandate and end immediately the Green New scam.
He pulled the plug on Joe Biden's failed energy policy.
Biden-era regulations be gone. Leases will now be expedited and permits will be streamlined from here on out.
This is what it looks like when you do have a president who, number one, keeps his promises, is willing to fight.
You can't say that he's coming and not try to deliver on what he at least believes was his promises on the campaign trail, and he's doing so in historic fashion.
Donald Trump is crushing his to-do list.
And coming up next month, we'll have a huge military parade. President Trump announcing that, and the fact that for the U.S. Army's 250th celebration. So that's coming up June 14th, next month. We'll have obviously coverage right here on Right Side, among many other events. There is the Prime Minister of Canada, Mark Carney, getting into the SUV there on his way back to Canada. All right, so that was from earlier. We'll go to that video maybe a little bit later, where the president met with the Prime Minister in the Oval Office. We'll play that replay just in case you missed it. But also, we're seeing that there is a State Department event happening soon. So we'll be able to go to that live as we await the FIFA Task Force meeting. Let's go live there to watch this vehicle leave the White House. All right, so obviously the West Wing, where the foreign leaders arrive and depart. That is also kind of a stakeout location where reporters, correspondents, hosts, anchors, and all stand and ask questions to various world leaders and to the president. Most of the time, it's kind of a wave and a hello or a goodbye, but great live quick footage there as we're looking at what looks like will be a State Department briefing coming up here by Tammy Bruce, the State Department press secretary. So we'll get an update on the United States State Department here live. And then this is as we await the FIFA World Cup Task Force meeting. Again, that FIFA World Cup will be in Los Angeles. It'll be in 2026, so just next year on June 12th. Interestingly enough, about a month before our huge celebration for our country next year, next July 4th, celebrating 250 years in existence. Can you believe our country is really that young? You know, you look at these other nations around the world, but this nation founded on freedom and founded on the Bible and founded on some great people that said, you know what, we're not going to let the government be tyrannical and put their thumb down on us and make us do this and that. Not happening on our watch. And so we saw what the greats did, George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, and others, and the signers of the Constitution and all. A lot of lessons learned since then too on the on certain things that were definitely difficult for our country. But as we move forward, as hopefully more united, it's very difficult to see some of the images out there when it comes to the woke mind virus and the woke mobs that are out there, brainwashed still from some institution or some teacher back in the day, or maybe the media or whoever. Buying into a bunch of BS. But now what we're seeing is the conservative media upswing, but also a number of people that are awake because of one person, Donald J. Trump. Literally because of Donald J. Trump, because he called the fake news, because he said, I'm going to be not part of the establishment, I'm going to be that outsider. I'm not going to take, these outside, connections and all that. You remember back in 2015, 2016, when he was running the first go around. And America fell in love with President Trump. The majority of America did, because he tells it like it is. He's a real person just like you and me. And he isn't just someone that is all stuffy and, says a bunch of lies to your face. He tells it like it is. And I think that has really set the bar for not only the presidency moving forward, but also the cabinet members. He hired a number of people that are on Team USA, on Team America, that also tell it like it is. A number of you were talking about the DOJ press conference earlier. We aired that as well. If you'd like to see that, you can always replay this broadcast or scrub back a little bit later. But Pam Bondi there doing a great job with the drug enforcement throughout our country. I did see comments from people on Rumble and YouTube talking about the Epstein list, talking about other people that should be held to account for their illegal actions over the past 4 years. Justice being served, basically, right? So basically reporting on what I saw here on Rumble and YouTube live while I watched the press conference. But outside of that, I mean, we're seeing so many wins through our country and with the cabinet leaders. Even just last week, I still think about the cabinet meeting where this wasn't just the Q&A between the president and the reporters. It was each cabinet leader speaking about what's going on in their departments. And we were able to listen in on the truth and transparency, the historic truth and transparency we're seeing with this White House. And that is unprecedented. So it's wonderful to see that every single day, a new great thing happening, another promise made, another promise kept, including we're going to hear from Tammy Bruce, the Department of State spokesperson. We'll go to that live as soon as it starts. This, as we await the FIFA Task Force meeting for that FIFA World Cup. For those of you out there that love sports, in the comment section of Rumble and YouTube, go ahead and put your favorite sport down there, whether it is soccer or football. How about, I don't know why bowling just popped in my mind, but bowling, hockey, basketball, whatever it is, go ahead and put your favorite sport down there. And yeah, it's great because we've seen so many things when it comes to sports with this president, welcoming the Ohio State Buckeyes, the Florida Panthers, the Philadelphia Eagles, all champions in their own leagues. To the White House. We know that we love sports in this country. We know that President Trump loves sports, but we also know outside of that, saying no men in women's sports, and then building off of all these different things that we've seen, the 20 core promises to seal the border, to make us energy independent again, to revitalize this economy, all based on common sense. So we're seeing it in live action each day, and it's wonderful to watch. And we're in this together as we continue on, as they get ready there for Tammy Bruce. I believe that is Tammy, I think, right now. But let's go there live right now to the State Department in Washington, D.C.
Put my phones on Do Not Disturb. Cool. All righty, everybody. Thank you for being here. Give you a couple more minutes. I know I scooted in here before the 2 minutes was 2 minutes. How's everybody today? Looks like it's nice out there. Good. Thank you, guys. I'm really hoping, even though these ladies have been allowed to bring their computers in again, that it won't be as exciting as Thursday. But we'll see. We'll see. Good. All right. Thank you, everybody. So a little bit of a update here, an announcement for you. A couple announcements. The State Department has no higher priority than ensuring the safety and security of Americans, whether at home or abroad. To that end, President Trump has made it a priority to bring home Americans unjustly detained overseas. Yesterday, Secretary Rubio joined President Trump in welcoming home Ksenia Karolina to the Oval Office, who was wrongfully detained in Russia for over a year. In his first 100 days, the 47th president has secured the release of 47 unjustly held Americans. No administration has worked so hard or so quickly to bring home U.S. citizens imprisoned abroad. That is because of the leadership of President Trump, and we are committed to bringing home every single American who is wrongfully detained around the world. Secretary Rubio also joined President Trump in the Oval Office today for a meeting with the Canadian Prime Minister. During the meeting, Prime Minister Carney described his intention to increase Canada's defense spending, exceeding President Trump's leadership there and the demand of what he was looking for. 9 years ago, most NATO allies were nowhere near spending 2%. Today, allies agreed that they must increase their defense spending, and every week more are announcing the increase. 18 countries, in fact, since the November election. Let's see here. We've got now something very important I think most of you have heard about, certainly through the president as well. The president also announced in this meeting that the Houthis have capitulated following the administration's strikes. In the president's words, the Houthis have announced that they don't want to fight anymore. They just don't want to fight, and we will honor that, and we will stop the bombings. They say that they will not be blowing up ships anymore. As Secretary Rubio explained, this was always a freedom of navigation issue. These are a band of individuals with advanced weaponry that were threatening global shipping, and the job was to get that to stop. And if it's going to stop, then we can stop. There is also something now retweeted by Ambassador Witkoff's X account, I believe, noting that following recent discussions and contacts conducted by the Sultanate of Oman with the United States and the relevant authorities in Sana'a, in the Republic of Yemen, with the aim of de-escalation, efforts have resulted in a ceasefire agreement between the two sides. So that's always a good thing. Now, in another important announcement, Secretary Rubio has decided to merge the responsibilities of the Office of the Palestinian Affairs Office fully into other sections of the United States Embassy in Jerusalem. This decision will restore the first Trump term framework of a unified U.S. diplomatic mission in Israel's capital that reports to the U.S. ambassador to Israel. Ambassador Huckabee will take the steps necessary to implement the merger over the coming weeks. The United States remains committed to its historic relationship with Israel, bolstering Israel's security and securing peace to create a better life for the entire region. And now I will take your questions. Daphne.
Thank you. On the ceasefire deal with the Houthis, could you give a sense of how the State Department was involved in this? What did U.S. engagements with Oman and the Houthis look like on this?
Well, we've got some details. Again, I've noted to you what the Omanis have messaged, again, retweeted by Ambassador Witkoff. I can read you a little bit more here as well that gives you a few more details. In the future, they note, neither side will target the other, including American vessels in the Red Sea and the Bab el-Mandab Strait, ensuring freedom of navigation and the smooth flow of international commercial shipping. The Sultanate of Oman expresses its gratitude to both parties and their constructive approach that led to this welcome outcome, and hopes that it will lead to further progress on many regional issues toward achieving justice. So at that point, though, there's more that obviously you want to hear about, obviously some of the details, and I would expect I'll have more for that on that for you probably on Thursday's briefing. We'll look for it there. Andrea.
Thank you. Can I follow up on that, please?
Sure, of course.
Does this ceasefire also extend to the Houthis not attacking Israel and Israel not attacking the Houthis as they have just today in retaliation for the attack by the Houthis against the area near Ben Gurion just a few days ago?
Well, and just looking at the president's remarks, looking at this particular message from the Omanis, this is about the Red Sea, the attacking of ships, and the nature of the action that the United States had taken, making it very clear at the time that this was not going to be a pinprick operation, that we were going to continue this operation until the Houthis stopped attacking shipping in that framework. That is what I've seen here, and that's all I can remark on.
And Ambassador Witkoff said last night at the Israeli Independence Day celebration that very, very shortly there would be announcements on expansion of the Abraham Accords. The president also today said that there would be a big announcement next week that was very positive, that he was just, my word, sort of teasing about it. But
I think it'd be a classic, with talking about something before it lands without, giving too many details. That is certainly, of course, my situation here as well. But when the president says there's going to be a big announcement, I would take him seriously. And he would, of course, I think, put it that way in the fact that it's very good news for people.
And what about Ambassador Witkoff saying very, very shortly there would be an expansion of the Abraham Accords?
Well, I will wait for the secretary when it comes to the details of what's going to be described and announced in that regard. Of course, we know of the importance of the Abraham Accords, starting with the success in the first Trump term and what that meant for the region, something that no one ever thought would occur. Once again, Trump has a tendency to accomplish those kinds of things that make a huge difference for a long time. So I have nothing to report for you right now, but clearly it appears as though I will later on in the week. Nadia.
Thank you. I want to follow up on Yemen. Despite the statement by the president and the secretary on the ceasefire, and also the Omani foreign minister just confirmed it, the other side, which is the Houthis themselves, denied it. They're saying that we are not going to stop attacking the ships. So how do you explain that? Are they not
well, they're a terrorist
the
group, so
Or they playing for public consumption?
I use for my basis of who to listen to and who to take seriously, of course, is the President of the United States, Ambassador Witkoff, the Secretary of State, Marco Rubio. I think that, as what we've said, of course, also when it comes to other situations, is that we look to actions, not words. And clearly there's been development here that the president shared, and I think his words are the words that one needs to rely on.
And the attack on the port of Sana'a, as you know, Sana'a now is completely out of service. 20 million people are affected as a result. Was this attack coordinated with the United States, or do you think this is more like a collective punishment against civilians in Yemen as well, because they won't be able to use that port anymore?
Well, I certainly, I would refer you to the DOD regarding any questions about American action, certainly with the operations that we'd had against the Houthis and the shipping issue. But I can't speak to any action, of course, that Israel may have taken or the nature of any of that. But in regard to the rest of this, President Trump categorized this as some very good news. that the Houthis announced, again, they don't want to fight anymore, and that we will honor that and stop the bombing. He said they have capitulated. And again, we had a very specific framework there, but again, I'd refer you to the DOJ in regard to that. Matt Lee, interested in the subject line?
Sure. I still just don't really understand what, I mean, if the Houthis have only agreed to stop attacking American vessels, and you guys have only agreed to stop attacking Houthi targets, that does not really fall into line with what Secretary Rubio has said, which is attacks on all international shipping in the Red Sea.
Well, it was that venue, it was that arena regarding the Red Sea and the shipping within that framework.
I understand that, but if this is a deal that's just the U.S. and the Houthis and no one else is included, and the Houthis are still going after French ships or German ships or Israeli ships or whoever, I'm not quite sure how this is anything other than you guys just saying, okay, we won, we're leaving, but terrorism and
I don't recall those lines being used. What I can say is that Secretary Rubio said this was always a freedom of navigation issue. And of course, our approach was the fact that they had struck ships hundreds of times, including our ships, in that area. And this is one of the cases where we, again, a very transparent administration, a president who is speaking and will speak on what's happening, what he's planning, what we hope for, what he has heard. And I would take him at his word in that regard. Of course, Secretary Rubio was in the Oval Office at this point. I would encourage all of us, and I'm looking forward to it too, to getting more details and the nature of how it manifested. That always, of course, interests us. We have a sense here with what Ambassador Witkoff tweeted, that Oman, of course, was involved, and that there's an understanding that this is moving forward. So we will no doubt have more information, and I think we'll have our answers when we do. Yes, ma'am.
Wait, hold on, Tammy. When this moves away from the Middle East, can you just remember I asked you if there was a reaction to the German chancellor election? So when we get to Europe or whatever, can you?
Matt. Thank you.
Thanks.
Jillian.
Off topic, if I may, because I've got to
Of course,
leave
I
in a
understand.
moment.
Sure.
Question on China. There's going to be a vote in the House tomorrow where members are going to have to kind of decide if they want to support Republican efforts to sort of push back against Chinese Communist Party influence in U.S. academia. Does Secretary Rubio have a position on deporting these students here that are like associated? It's called the Confucius Institute.
Yes.
As you know.
Well, I can't speak about that particular issue, but of course, Secretary Rubio has made his position clear about the kinds of individuals who are going to have their visas revoked or not renewed, involving whether or not their actions affect our foreign policy interests or are the opposite of what it is they said that they would be doing here if they engage in certain kind of behavior. But what we will do is see how the Secretary feels about this. And I do expect to talk with him a little bit later. So we'll take that back and get it back to you, because I know you're going to be reporting on that. But we'll do that.
Also, one more, if I may. Can you tell us? There's plenty of criticism, as I'm sure you're aware of, out there. Folks who say the new dual-hatted role for the secretary is problematic. Can you tell us how he feels about being appointed National Security Advisor?
Well, what I can tell you is that this is a man who accepted a job because he knew he could do it. He is here, has had tremendous success as Secretary of State. He also knows what's required there. He's in the White House a great deal. He has an excellent relationship with the president. And if the president's going to ask him to do something, the president feels also that he would be obviously a good fit, or he wouldn't have asked him to do it in an interim basis. I have found, and I can just speak to my own experience with him, that Secretary Rubio is very focused. He enjoys being here. He likes his work. I think, and most of the time, he loves his work. This is a man who's committed to wanting to make a difference in the world, and we're in a remarkable time where someone with his family background and experience, as with President Trump's, as with mine, as with many of you, maybe sometimes find ourselves surprised to be in this building and working and doing this kind of job. I find Secretary Rubio to hold that honesty about the reality of our situations really close to his heart, and I see that in his work and how he responds to people and what his goals are. So I think it's fair to say that he enjoys what he's doing. that he's grateful for the opportunities, and he's going to be, with everyone talking about, the last person who held this was Kissinger. I think what we're looking at is a new age in the 21st century, and Marco Rubio is going to, I think, have a tremendous impact. Yes.
Going back to the Middle East, on this deal with the Houthis, were the Israelis informed prior to the president's announcements in the Oval Office that this understanding had been reached between the U.S. and the Houthis?
I can't speak to that at this point.
And then on this foundation that was teased this weekend about delivering aid to Gaza, the UN and aid community have unanimously rejected this. They say that it goes against the humanitarian principles of objectivity. Is the U.S. going to take that criticism into account as it tries to move forward on this, or is it a done deal and we should expect?
Well, first of all, I'm not going to get ahead of what will be a very important announcement for those who know, speaking about the issue of getting aid into Gaza. That information will, I think, be forthcoming, certainly in a few days. So I'm not going to get ahead of the nature of what complaints might be or who is unhappy, but I have a feeling that I'll have plenty to say, as will many others, when this is formally announced. And it will be very, very good news, so we're looking forward to that. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Tammy. I have two questions, if you don't mind. My first, just on the announcement you made about the Palestinian Affairs Office of merging it into other sections of the embassy. Can you just please explain what's the mindset behind that? Given that a few weeks ago also the department eliminated the position of the security coordinator in the West Bank. So is it part of minimizing contact with Palestinian Authority, Palestinian people, or restructuring?
Well, this was something actually that had been established in Trump's first term. So this is not a new decision. It's not a new idea. It, in fact, restores his first-term framework of a unified U.S. diplomatic mission in Israel's capital that reports to the ambassador to Israel. So this is something that was reversed by the previous administration that had already been established. Ambassador Huckabee, of course, is in charge, will be taking steps to do this. But it also is not a reflection on any outreach or commitment to outreach to the people of the West Bank or to Gaza. It really is actually very similar to what's happening here with the bureaus, with our reorganization. It is making sure that the issues that are important are all working together, right, are not segmented out, so that the interests of the embassy, very, very much like the interests of our foreign aid and other actions, can work together in the Bureau as one entity. And that was the intention of that. And again, it was established in the first term. And now this is just being restored effectively to reflect the president's vision.
My second question is, today the Egyptians, some sources in Egypt said that they received a U.S. proposal for a ceasefire in Gaza. This happened a few minutes before the president himself announced that there will be good news. Can you confirm that you delivered to the mediators any
No, I
plan,
can't. Yeah, I can't speak to what sources might say or to speculate or what might or might not still be negotiated. What I do like is the fact that there are a few things that might be the big good news coming up. Now, won't that be nice? So this is something that, what is this? So it's Tuesday, so we have a few days left to go. But it's going. But there is good news. I think, just like today with the news of the Houthis, that there's good news and that the work can reap dividends, as we've seen in the past with President Trump's intentions in his work. So I'm sorry, I can't answer that specifically. Yes, sir.
Thank you very much. On March 8th, you ended the waiver that allowed Iraq to import electricity from Iran. But Iran continues to import electricity to Iraq. What is your comment on this?
Well, as part of the maximum pressure campaign, the waiver for, you're right, for Iraq to import Iranian electricity was not renewed last month, March of 2025. The government of Iraq is taking steps to secure alternate sources of electricity, including through expanding gas capture and increasing imports from other neighboring countries. Some of these efforts are directly benefiting U.S. companies, including the recent signing of memorandums of understanding with UGT Renewables and GE Vernova. And of course, we continue to support all of efforts, all of the Iraqis' efforts to end their energy reliance on Iran. All right, yes, sir.
Yes, hi. Thanks, Tommy. U.S. Special Envoy for Africa, Massad Boulos, said yesterday on X that the DRC and Rwanda had submitted draft proposals ahead of a peace plan. And parallel to that, the Rwanda's foreign minister today actually told AFP that they had agreed and set out on a calendar, and that there would be a meeting in the foreign ministers end of May or mid-May in Washington, and then a final, hopefully, peace agreement in June in Washington. Can you confirm any of those?
Well, what I can confirm is this. Of course, the important historic meeting that Secretary Rubio established that happened on April 25th with the foreign ministers of the DRC and Rwanda occurred, of course, and at this meeting, both sides committed to reaching a resolution. This is a decades-old conflict, and they signed a declaration of principles. The date involved in that was May 2nd, which was a date for them to make additional outlines of what it was they were going to do to reach that principle and that goal of ending that conflict. So that was outlined in the Declaration of Principles. Both of them, in fact, by that date, submitted the inputs, their ideas for a draft peace agreement and a roadmap for peace. It's when we think about the remarkable establishment of this, some conflicts that are so old or not as looked at as much as others that are in the world. We are working on all of them, and this was a tremendous achievement. So both did meet that deadline. We welcome, of course, those details and recognize this is an important step toward fulfilling the commitments made in that Declaration of Principles. And we are going to build on the momentum and continue to work with African Union partners and both of the parties to get to an agreement that delivers a durable peace, economic prosperity, and stability in the region. Senior Advisor Boulos's meetings in Doha last week, in fact, were a further step toward that goal. And that's all I can report to you. But it's more good news. What do we know? Yes, sir.
Thank you, Tammy. Moving to Ukraine, if I may. The president has been discussing Ukraine peace efforts with foreign leaders. We heard from the White House over the weekend about the call with Erdogan. We heard him saying it today with Canadian Prime Minister.
Yes.
Caveat that you cannot walk us into the White House discussion. Let me ask you this. Does that mean that you guys are staying very much as a key mediators, contrary to the media reports, and that following minerals deal, talks are entering right now into a new phase?
Well, first I can tell you, of course, there were some erroneous reports, fake reports about the nature of where we stand. I made a number of comments in the midst of those reports debunking them. The fact is that Ukraine, of course, we've been its largest supporter. We remain its largest supporter. We remain within our posture of being mediators within this framework. But as I think I said to you last Tuesday, a week ago, was that we do recognize, and everyone has to, that both parties must come up with their proposals for an enduring peace, that we are looking for that progress. And that is because we have a time, in our minds, the president has noted that this can't go on forever, as has the secretary. And so the framework of if we were to withdraw as a mediator would come if we don't see progress from the parties. And we do. The president has made recent comments about his continuing optimism about what was possible. And of course, the secretary also has been traveling a great deal and continues to. But our commitment is not one that is fainting. It is not one that was brief. This is a commitment that, while styles might change on occasion or the nature of the strategies might change, but our commitment remains the same. And again, it is reliant on the parties showing us that progress is possible, that they're working for progress, that steps are being taken for progress. And then the president, who is in charge of how this proceeds, will make his determination. He's, of course, involved with all of the parties in this regard, along, of course, with Secretary of State Marco Rubio and, of course, the interim NSA. So we're sure about that. I appreciate you bringing it up because there's a lot of fake news. I think we've been extremely clear, and I appreciate the opportunity to be clear again about our commitment to Ukraine.
Thanks so much for that. When you say both parties, I'm failing to understand why Ukraine is in this let's say, group. Ukraine did everything you asked them for, to do. They signed a agreement.
Yes, and I've enjoyed being at the summits, working with people, meeting my counterparts in Ukraine. Their commitment, obviously, they want this to stop, this carnage to stop. It's clear. But I'm not in every room and with every conversation. What I convey to you in my role is what the Secretary of State has said and what the President has noted, is that the parties must come together with concrete efforts and acknowledgments and ideas and strategies to end the conflict. So when that is something I convey to you, I can't. I'm not going to speak for the Ukrainians, certainly not for the Russians, but both parties, within the framework of the conversations that the negotiators and diplomats are having, must participate in that framework. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you very much, Connie. I have two questions. One on the U.S. diplomatic missions. Another one is China and Russia, if I may. Regarding the closure of U.S. diplomatic missions overseas, can you confirm that the United States is considering closing the diplomatic missions in 27 countries around the world, and will also close its consulate in Busan, South Korea? And the second question, it has been reported that Chinese companies are producing missiles in Russia, and Russia's Kremlin announced that it would strengthen solidarity with China to celebrate the Victory Days. What are you concerned about China and Russia's military cooperating?
Well, what I've said several times from this podium is that there are several nations that are responsible for helping move the carnage that is unfolding in Ukraine in this war. That many nations are responsible for the nature of how it continues. And I've stated that several times. The State Department has as well. And so I'm going to leave that there. Regarding our missions and our consulates, I have nothing to report for you at this point regarding the nature of what will be transpiring, but I will ask if we can take another look at perhaps if there are announcements or any updates on that particular dynamic. We'll get back to you, certainly. Yes, sir. Glasses.
Yesterday there was a meeting of United Nations Security Council where all the permanent, non-permanent members were there, including U.S. That meeting was on the Pakistan-India tensions, and all the members were of the view that the only way to resolve Pak-India tensions is to resolve the Kashmir issue. And
I'm sorry, to do what?
The Kashmir issue should be resolved.
The Kashmir issue, yes,
Kashmir
of course.
should be resolved through UN Security Council resolution, which were adopted and approved like many decades ago. US also approved it. So just wondering if you want to say about something or any position.
There's, as we know, this is a dynamic, serious issue. So I'll repeat some of what I've said before, but as you know, I'm limited here. It remains an evolving situation. We clearly are still closely involved in monitoring. We continue to urge Pakistan and India to work towards a responsible resolution that maintains long-term peace and regional stability in South Asia. We remain in touch with the governments of both countries at multiple levels. We are not watching from afar in that regard. We are engaged. We're aware of various reports that are happening in the midst of this very delicate situation. And of course, I think without being involved, certainly in the phone calls, it's comfortable to have tremendous trust in the President and in the Secretary of State when it comes to how this is unfolding. All right, yes, sir.
Thank you.
We'll move on.
Do you confirm that there is a meeting with Iranian this Sunday? This is the first. And the second one, is there any connection between the Houthi ceasefire and your diplomatic engagement with Iran?
This is the Houthi dynamic and other things that are unfolding. We have news every day, fortunately, much good news. And this has been a commitment from day one, right? From the moment and before, certainly back to his first term, what President Trump has been interested in. So while we're going to have all kinds of things that might happen at the same time, it's important to not conflate them. That we have results of things that have been worked on for weeks and months that are now coming to fruition. Also, the president's interest in, as an example, the aid to Gaza and his personal involvement and commitment to having that get resolved is something that does make things move faster, but everything his administration does is fast moving. So I would say that is to be cautious in the fact that we're looking at the development of things that are important but have been in the works for a long time and are not tied to a certain development or linked to one thing or another. But you're going to have things happen at the same time when you've got a singular region, multiple issues happening, multiple negotiations, multiple efforts for ceasefires. Inevitably, things are going to happen simultaneously. But I think that is the result of the kind of work that we've been engaged in for weeks now. And so that's all I can say about that.
The meetings with Iranian this Sunday?
We've had that question before. Certainly last week we addressed it. I have no specifics for you about what is occurring, and I can't confirm what will occur. But as soon as we do, and if we do, you will hear it right from this podium here. All right, yes, sir.
So thank you. My wise colleague behind me asked one of my questions, but the Trump administration released a budget blueprint on Friday. It's not a leak or a draft. It's their actual budget blueprint that they send to Congress, and it includes massive cuts for the United Nations. So with Ambassador-designate Waltz heading there, presumably at some point this year, what is going to be his mandate? Is he going in with priorities to advance certain U.S. interests, or is he going in with more of like a Secretary McMahon's mandate to kind of start to unwind things, so to speak? What is his mandate going to look like?
Well, I think that conversation is something that President Trump and soon-to-be Ambassador Waltz would be having. What we do know is that what the White House submits to Congress is a budget that reflects their commitments and what they want, and it certainly is consistent with the nature of what they're trying to do with government, which is not just for the sake of making it smaller, but making it more efficient. You've got to be nimble, and you've got to know what your mission is. You've got to be spending money based in a way that is a reflection of what the American foreign policy is, what our values are, and that bigger doesn't necessarily mean better. It certainly doesn't mean necessarily that you can get things done. As a matter of fact, more bureaucracy, the less that you're able to accomplish. So from the start, and I have a feeling we might be talking about this for 4 years, is the fact that just because something is changing or looks different doesn't mean it doesn't exist or it's not going to do the same job. It will do a better job. That is always the goal, and that is the focus. So, and then, of course, this is a budget recommendation from the White House, and then we will watch that unfold with Congress. But it certainly reflects the president's agenda and his goals. Yes, Eric.
Yes, Tammy. If I could ask, we've seen reports the last couple of days about, you mentioned the president's statement today about the Houthis and their ceasing of attacks on U.S. ships. But we've also seen reports in the region that Israel is calling up more reservists for a potential expansion in Gaza. Can you speak to the challenge of fighting all of the different Iranian proxies at once? And is this an area of concern as far as the potential for an expansion in the fighting and the conflict in Gaza?
Well, we've seen clearly the nature of Hamas and that it has to be wiped off out of Gaza completely if there's to be any peace. We certainly have seen the impact on Hezbollah as Israel continues to defend itself against that armed squad of Iran and the Houthis as well. The good news is the United States, of course, can do many things at once. Israel also has a right to defend itself. And as an ally, we support that, and we clearly have made that clear to the world as well. And the remarkable agreements and at least even just getting Iran to the table has been a tremendous accomplishment for our ambassadors, for President Trump's foreign policy. So it's not what one would want. You want a peaceful world. President Trump came into a world that was left behind through the previous administration in a condition that required immediate intervention. And that is what he has done, and that is what the American people expected. He is acting on that expectation. Again, a lot of us would, certainly everyone involved in these conflicts and wars, this is not what any family anywhere in the world imagines what the next day would be for their families. And I'm proud, and we all should be, that the United States continues to work to change all of these conflicts, to bring them to heel, to stop them, and to make people's lives better. I'm very excited that many efforts are going to bring fruit to our conversations, and we'll be able to talk more about that later in the week. But no, I think that when it comes to Israel defending itself, us supporting Israel, and the nature of our commitment for peace in that region, Iran is certainly at that framework, and we have tremendous ambassadors like Steve Witkoff setting the table there about what needs to happen for the country, for the region, and for the world. All right. Yes, sir.
So going back to Ukraine, you said you were waiting for concrete proposals, and so are there any new proposals? And what's the status?
Well, if there were new proposals, I wouldn't stand here and say we were waiting for new proposals, and that at the same time, there is. It is a word I used a lot in the beginning of my briefings, but it's true here. It's fluid, right? So it doesn't happen only at certain times of the day or when I'm briefing. These are efforts and conversations that I have to say are really 24/7, right? There's action in each part of the world in making a difference here and finding a common ground. Secretary Rubio has noted on a few occasions that, in some ways, getting them to the table was the easy part. And then you have to discuss, you want the ceasefire, you want the slaughter to stop. Then it comes down to how do you get two parties like this to agree to stop, in a durable way, in a long-term way. That's the difficult part. We've got to get to that ceasefire part. But the conversations, that's why there's been this dynamic of we've got to see progress in order for us to understand the process and how our process and how our posture in that will continue. And that becomes the question.
So let me ask you a more broad question.
You ask me in a different way.
No.
All right, go give it a shot.
With regards to the negotiation, but also broader, do you still support the principle of territorial integrity and not changing?
That's a much easier, much different question. Obviously, I'm not. Now, if we were at a seminar somewhere at my alma mater at USC, I would love to have that conversation with you, but I won't here today. Matt, so you wanted me to follow up on the German elections, is that right?
No.
The election of the chancellor.
Yeah.
If you have something.
Yes. So we congratulate Friedrich Merz on his election as chancellor in Germany. We will continue to work with Germany and its next government to ensure the security of the United States and Europe.
Okay.
So there you go. Congratulations to the new chancellor.
Wait, hold on.
Matt, that's it for today. Thank you, everyone. Have a great day. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Oh, well, yes. Actually, there is one more thing. And thank you for this as we move on from congratulating people. There is two individuals that I think this is an important thing and that I wanted to make note of, and certainly the people that I work with wanted to make note of. So before we conclude officially, I want to take a moment to honor the lives and legacies of two towering figures in American diplomacy, Ambassador Ruth Davis and Ambassador Lino Guterres, both of whom we sadly lost in recent days. Ambassador Davis was a trailblazer whose distinguished service as a director of the Foreign Service Institute and the Director General of the Foreign Service shaped generations of diplomats. Ambassador Guterres served our nation with great distinction as U.S. Ambassador to both Argentina and Nicaragua. A steadfast champion of diplomacy, his commitment to service inspired many. We remember them not only for their contributions to our country, but for the grace, wisdom, and integrity they brought to the craft of diplomacy. Their absence leaves a profound void, and their legacies endure. May their memories continue to inspire us all. Again, Ambassador Ruth Davis and Ambassador Lino Guterres. That's how we'll end today. Thank you, everyone. Have a great day.
Thank you for mentioning
Thank you.
them.
You're watching live there, of course, the State Department press conference with Tammy Bruce just wrapping up live right here on RSBN Live. I'm Matthew Alvarez. Thanks so much for streaming in as we get ready to go to the White House once again today for part 2 of our coverage. Of course, the Prime Minister of Canada, Mark Carney, was there this morning, and then now we shift gears to the FIFA Task Force meeting coming up. Of course, FIFA World Cup soccer will be in Los Angeles on June 12th next year. So we'll see some more about those details. In the meantime, we're following a number of other stories. We're going to get to that in just a second, where the Homeland Security Department just posted something within the past 30 minutes about illegal aliens. We'll get to that in just a second. Let's go to Colonial Metals Group. freegoldguide.com/RSBN, of course, is the place to go. China is, of course, dumping U.S. bonds, grabbing prime American farmland, and rolling out its new digital currency. They're trying to devastate our dollar. They're trying to work against us. But at the end of the day, having gold and silver as a backup plan, always good to do. freegoldguide.com. You see the QR code right there on your screen. Also, of course, President Trump being a genius because he's letting retirement savers like you protect your life savings with gold 100% tax-free. So get all the information you're looking for at freegoldguide.com/RSBN. Your 401k, your tax-sheltered IRA, and others backed in gold and silver. So freegoldguide.com/RSBN. Let's shift over to Spring, Texas. Angel Paste. Angelpaste.com is the site. You'll see the Miracle Cream, but there's also other products that you can save on right there. RSBN, the promo code to use, but also great products right there. Angelpaste.com, hiring military veterans in Spring, Texas. An awesome sponsor here at Right Side Broadcasting Network. It's great to have people that are on the right side of history, patriotic people that are also selling their great products to you here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. All right, so it's the top of the hour, 3:01 Eastern. Tuesday, May 6th. Thanks so much for streaming in. Let's go to some news out of the Homeland Security X post that just happened moments ago, within literally about 30 minutes. Specifically, I know it's kind of small there, but I'll read it for you. The X post from DHS said, during the operation in Tennessee, ICE agents arrested a convicted child sex predator, a member of Tren de Aragua, an individual convicted of aggravated assault and multiple aliens with drug charges. The Nashville mayor should want these criminal illegal aliens off American streets. Attacks and demonization of our brave law enforcement is wrong. ICE officers are now facing a 413% increase in assaults. President Trump campaigned on immigration enforcement. The American people voted for it, and DHS is delivering. So that's from the Department of Homeland Security. But Freddie O'Connell, the mayor of Nashville, I mean, this is Tennessee. Come on now. Well, check out what the post is when it comes to DHS. So underneath the post, DHS was highlighting what the mayor of Nashville said. We can go to that as well. So Nashville Mayor Freddie O'Connell saying, our top priority is keeping people safe, and we're deeply concerned that what appears to be federal actions are making that harder. The mayor says, overnight, we understand that U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement agents detained people during enforcement actions in Middle Tennessee. As we learn more, I want to be clear, this is from the mayor of Nashville, no Metropolitan Nashville Police Department personnel were involved in last night's enforcement action. MNPD has no federal immigration authority, is not trained to conduct immigration enforcement, and lacks access to federal immigration databases. They do respond to calls for service and help to ensure public safety during protest events anywhere in the city, including the one Sunday just off the property of the federal ICE office. Continuing on here, as the next slide happens, the Metropolitan Nashville Police Department officers were relieved from the protest by state law enforcement members. We're going to get through all this junk, this long email or this post by the Nashville mayor by saying, he says this type of federal enforcement action is not focused on making us safer and leaves people in our community fearing any interaction with law enforcement when there is a crime occurring. We will be seeking the names of those detained. Basically being soft on illegal immigrants or illegal aliens, criminal aliens in his city, in Nashville. So the Department of Homeland Security has come out and replied to this statement by the mayor. Again, we can go back to that slide. I know it's a lot to follow, but it's still specifically, nitty-gritty stuff going on in Nashville, Tennessee. There are some videos out there of people actually yelling at ICE agents within the past 24 hours. This is a mayor that is woke, that is radical, that is against what President Trump's doing. And again, the Department of Homeland Security says the following about the mayor of Nashville. So during the operation in Tennessee, ICE agents arrested a convicted child sex predator, a member of Tren de Aragua, an individual convicted of aggravated assault, and multiple aliens with drug charges. The Nashville mayor should want these criminal illegal aliens off American streets. And it continues on there. So that post happened within 30 minutes. And this is what we're talking about in our country. Some of these mayors out there that are so woke, that are holding down a place like Nashville, Tennessee, who I love Nashville. Who doesn't love Music City, USA? A great place to go check out a hockey game, a great place to listen to live music. And it's just a good time overall. I mean, John Rich has his bar down on Lower Broadway. There's pretty cool things to do in Nashville. But unfortunately, you have a mayor who's saying, we don't want to be involved in this. This is bad stuff going on, when people like ICE are taking care of business to make our country safer. And newsflash to the mayor there, as you know, in Nashville and in Middle Tennessee, who I'm very familiar with the region, there are a ton of Trump supporters. That Democrat county there, Davidson County, is starting to go purple and red because they're so sick of woke people just like yourself, sir. So that email or that response is ridiculous. Stop with the woke stuff. That doesn't fly here. If you want that, go to another country, check it out. It might be better suited for you. Because our country is doing what we have to do here when it comes to ICE, when it comes to criminal illegal aliens. And then some of the woke mob in Nashville, just a few people, yelling at our ICE agents. That's anti what we voted for in this country. So again, I know it's not, I don't like to speak divisively, but at the end of the day, we have to have people that are in these leadership positions that are on the side of common sense. And Freddie O'Connell, the mayor in Nashville, who I've interviewed in the past, I couldn't speak like this when I worked in Nashville, but I can now because we have freedom of speech. And all the things that these people talk about back and forth when it comes to true narratives versus false narratives, the truth versus woke ideologies, that kind of thing. So anyway, if you want to check out everything I just talked about, you see the receipts. It's the Department of Homeland Security posted this on X just recently, about 30 minutes ago, highlighting what the mayor of Nashville is talking about when it comes to the fact that they are not really standing with basically ICE and what they're doing. So there's a little nitty-gritty stuff. I usually know we're national coverage here. We cover the White House and all that, but localities or municipalities or these small towns or bigger cities obviously is what makes up our country. So hopefully we get a new mayor in Nashville that stands on the right side of history. And if John Rich would be watching this right now, the great conservative rock star out there, I'm sure he'd be saying amen, because we're sick of that kind of woke leadership, whether it is as a president, a vice president, a senator, a congressman, in state government and local government, as mayors, as school boards. We all voted, the majority of this nation voted for common sense and for truth to win. So hopefully the people of Nashville will vote for a new mayor sometime in the future, because what that mayor is doing to come against the federal government and ICE, I understand if you have a voice, your freedom of speech to do so, but when you're on the wrong side of history and doing things that are bad for safety, that really fires me up, as you can tell. So anyway, and to a state like Tennessee too, the volunteer state. I love Tennessee. And the fact that we have someone in Nashville as a mayor there coming against President Trump and what he's trying to do when it comes to ICE and DHS is unbelievable. There you go. That's my 2 cents at 3:08, Tuesday, May 6th. Also, Stephen Miller, we have a slide from him, a picture of something from X. He says, the choice facing illegals, you see it right there, leave now and get a free flight plus an exit bonus. And I didn't even know there were exit bonuses, but that's what it says on Stephen Miller's X account this 22 hours ago. He says, or refuse to leave and face a fine of $1,000 daily, prosecution and imprisonment, forfeiture of all assets, garnishment of all wages, confiscation of all property, deportation whenever and wherever we choose. All right, so that's what's going on in our country. We see that the law and order has to step up. You can't just, if you and I travel to some other country, we can't just walk in there without a passport, without a visa, without the proper paperwork. They have to know, they want to know, who are you? Where? I've traveled to some third world countries and on some mission trips back in the day. I even had to get a stamp on my passport from some of these really, really small countries that are third world nations. With the crews and the college groups that I went with. So if that has to happen in other countries, it has to happen here. We know that. But I think the thing that people are upset about is the fact that we have anybody standing and protecting MS-13 or anybody that is criminally involved, like the mainstream media and like this Nashville mayor, and trying to stir up all of this, protests that are happening in Nashville. And just recently I saw some video of them coming up against the ICE agents. Specifically, the number is that attacks and demonization of our brave law enforcement is wrong. DHS saying this, of course. ICE officers are now facing a 413% increase in assaults. 413% increase. Obviously, President Trump campaigned on immigration enforcement. The American people voted for it, and DHS is delivering. So Stephen Miller just 22 hours ago talking about that a little bit as well. All right, so we're 3:10, Tuesday, May 6th. I'm Matthew Alvarez. Thanks for joining us on RSBN Live. We're going to go to the White House to see a great event coming up with the FIFA Task Force meeting. Again, the FIFA World Cup will be in Los Angeles in June of 2026, so June 12th. And then that will be a meeting that is happening within the next 20 minutes or so. So we're going to shift gears now. Let's go to a commercial break. We'll be right back on RSBN Live.
Welcome to Right Side Broadcasting Network, your trusted conservative news outlet. At RSBN, we deliver the truth when the mainstream media falls short. Since 2015, we've proudly broadcasted every single one of President Trump's iconic MAGA rallies, bringing you the excitement and energy live before anyone else. By watching RSBN, you get an unfiltered front row view of the action on the ground. We interview the crowds to give a voice to millions of Americans just like you. We show you President Trump's speeches in their entirety, free from interruptions and censorship. We cover the stories that matter to you with the integrity and passion you deserve. Thank you for choosing RSBN as your home for America First News. Together, we stand strong, united, and informed. So join us and be part of the right side of history.
President Trump is keeping his promises and saving America. And your kids can learn all about it for free with a new Kids Guide to President Trump. This fun guide shows kids all the steps President Trump is taking to put America back on top of the world stage, including building a strong economy, protecting our borders, and negotiating trade deals. It's an exciting way for kids to learn about President Trump's outstanding leadership. Act now and get a free bonus guide, The Courage of the President. Order now at freetrumpbook.com. That's freetrumpbook.com.
You've heard how hard it can be to get access to medications like ivermectin, all the things they don't want you to take because they're actually effective and they don't cost all that much, right? You've seen that one before. So it's critical to have something like that on hand for any emergency and to be prepared in a time of crisis. And that's why I want to tell you about All Family Pharmacy. They're cutting through the nonsense and they make it easy to get hard to find medications when you need them most. They'll provide the prescription, no hoops to jump through, no waiting room, no hassle, and they deliver it right to your door. All Family Pharma even lets you order in bulk so you can stay ahead of the curve. Head over to allfamilypharmacy.com for 10% off your first order. Again, allfamilypharmacy.com. It's simple. Get the 10% savings. Be prepared.
Hey y'all, it's Silk from the Diamond and Silk Chit Chat Live Show. Look, don't forget to check me out right here on RSBN Network. Be sure to watch the show on Right Side Broadcasting Network, and I want you to support Right Side Broadcasting Network. Yes, it's imperative that you do so, okay? I look to see y'all soon. Bye-bye.
Hello, everyone. I'm excited to announce the next generation of energy drinks, Rev 7. It has no sugar and no caffeine. Instead, Rev 7 uses Go BHB. Go BHB is one of the body's primary ketones, and it provides the most efficient and clean fuel that your body needs. It also helps you stay energized all day with no crashes. Not only that, it produces 3 times more brain energy than sugar, which helps boost your memory, focus, and mental sharpness. It also helps reduce stress and helps balance your mood. Rev 7 does all that while being the best tasting energy drink ever. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to save 20% today. I'm so sure you're going to love Rev 7. For a limited time, you get our introductory 3-pack absolutely free. I drink Rev 7 every day and I absolutely love it, and so will you.
Welcome back to RSBN Live. I'm Matthew Alvarez. Thanks for streaming in, getting ready to go to the White House for the FIFA Task Force meeting. Of course, the FIFA World Cup will be in Los Angeles on June 12th next year, so hear more insights about that great game that'll be out there in Los Angeles. In the meantime, the Department of Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy speaking outside of the White House minutes ago. Let's take a look.
Hey everybody, Sean Duffy here. Obviously there's a lot of coverage right now about what's happening in Newark in the airspace. Want to just talk about a couple things as background. So the air traffic control system that we use today is anywhere from 25 to 50 years old. We have copper wires, not fiber. We use radar that is, 1983 vintage at the earliest. A lot of it's 1970s, some of it even earlier than that. Radios also incredibly antiquated. And so this is not a new problem. We've known this problem has existed. There's been multiple GAO reports over the last 4 years saying you have real problems with air traffic control and you should do something with it before it actually fails. So think about this. The last administration spent $1.2 trillion. The largest infrastructure package ever known to man, they spent, Joe Biden signed right here at this White House. And how much was spent to rebuild air traffic control? $5 billion. And of the $5 billion that was spent or was given, only $1 billion was actually spent. So they have made no investments in the system that we now see having issues in Newark. On top of that, they were focused on things like racist roads. They literally spent time concerned about the word cockpit and changing cockpit to flight deck. It's not funny, that's actually what they spent time on. Or airmen to aeronaut. And so now this administration has come in, and it was shortly after the DC air crash that I started to look at the air traffic control system. And very quickly, I saw one piece of the pie where there was issues, and then scratched further, and there's another piece of the pie. And as we looked at it, we see that the whole system needs to be redone. We need to build a brand new air traffic control system. And it was about 6 weeks ago, I presented that plan to the president. The president has signed off on this plan. I've been working with OMB and others inside the White House. We're going to roll out this infrastructure proposal on this Thursday. We have 47 groups that are going to come. We have unions, we have the industry, we have trade groups, we have the families from the air crash on the 29th of January are going to come. We have legislators. This is bipartisan. You have Democrats and Republicans. All of you fly, all of our families fly, and they want to make sure when they do fly, they can fly safely. And so specifically in regard to Newark, we've slowed down the traffic, right? So safety is our mission, right? Efficiency is not, we love efficiency, but safety is critical for us. And so if we feel like there's issues in the airspace, we'll slow it down. And when you lose your scope or you lose communication with airplanes, automatically you're going to slow it down. If you're driving down the freeway at 70 miles an hour and someone throws a bucket of white paint on your windshield, what do? You slow down. We slow it down. And again, we want to make sure this is a safe airspace for all travelers. With that, it's caused delays. right? It's called cancellations. We're looking at bringing in all of the airlines that serve Newark and having all of them with all of us have a conversation about how do we manage the flights out of Newark, because they don't want to see families go to the airport and wait 4 hours just to have their flights canceled. That's unfair to them. So we want to have the right number of flights landing and taking off at Newark that we can manage, and then the passengers know what or if their flight is going to fly. So we're in the process of that right now. In addition, we've already started the new build out of the communication system at Newark. So many of you might know that Newark is controlled out of the Philly TRACON. It moved from New York to Philly last summer, and we still pull some information from the New York TRACON down to Philly. I would argue they probably should have built the whole new facility in Philadelphia before they moved it. That's not what happened, so we are going to build it now. The first estimates that I got a few days ago was it was going to take 8 to 6 months. I feel pretty good right now. I don't want to overpromise and underdeliver, but I feel pretty good that we can get that built by this summer. Again, one other complication, you guys may know this as well, we have construction on one of our runways also in Newark. So we are on it. We are going to fix it. We are going to build a brand new system for all of you and your families and the American people that the president has said yes to. And so one last point. It hasn't been done because it's hard, right? We have to keep planes in the air, landing, taking off. These facilities have to operate as we're building new radar, fiber, radios, sensors. So that choreography is going to be challenging for us. But just because it's challenging doesn't mean that we don't do it. Prior administrations said it's too complicated, we're not going to do it. That is not this administration. It's going to be a lift. We are going to bring in the best companies in America to help us with this project, and they're excited to be part of this great American build-out. By the way, this is the greatest build, the greatest project that the FAA has undertaken in its existence, what we're going to do in the next 3 or 4 years. And so with that, happy to take your questions.
Secretary, that passengers fly out of another airport right now rather than Newark, Philadelphia, JFK, LaGuardia, rather than use the Newark airport.
The question was, would I recommend that?
Yes.
So I think Newark is safe. Listen, I fly to that airport all the time. My family flies out, but just in regard to traffic, some people, because they're concerned about delays, may make choices to go to Philly or LaGuardia or JFK. That's true, but we want to get an agreement with the airlines so we have the right flow into Newark, so people can make decisions. And if they book a flight, they know it's going to fly and not be delayed.
Secretary, and you just talked about the revamp of the system. Obviously, people believe that is needed now, but it's going to take some time.
It is.
So if you're looking at Newark right now, what is the short-term solution, if any, for that, and how long do you expect it to last?
So again, so the new runway is going to come online, or the runway under construction is going to come online in the middle of June. Again, the whole project across the country is going to take 3 to 4 years. But we are going to focus on Newark first. I mentioned that in the infrastructure package, they sent the FAA $5 billion for this build. They spent less than $1 billion. We're going to pull some of that money and start dealing with Newark right now in the communication system, and that is already underway. No, I'm saying in the summer we hope that to be done.
Secretary, can you clarify? Two questions, if I could. Can you clarify? We heard from the FAA it was 90 seconds that there was this outage, that the radar scope wasn't working, and then last night you said 30 seconds. Can you clarify? Was it 90? Was it 30?
So the FAA is in my office. Talk to them all the time. Right. They said 30 seconds. Not sure how I think the Wall Street Journal and others have reported 90 seconds if they're counting scope and communication and counting that together. But the information I have from the FAA is 30 seconds.
And then if I could, so the controllers that have called out due to trauma, is there an effort to bring them back? Is there a conversation with them? What do you think should be done to backfill for the controllers in the TRACON that said there was a traumatic incident because this went out? Yeah, so the controllers said they're traumatized and they're not on duty right now. I want to make sure that my controllers are of good mind and good spirit when they come in. It's an intense job. But just to that point, last week we announced, again, we're 3,000 controllers short in America, 3,000 short.
And again, we've been 3,000 short for a very long time. And so what I've done is I'm taking the top qualified, the best qualified applicants who take the entrance exam, I'm putting them in the academy first. It was taking a year and a half to get a slot in the academy until you got your seat in the academy. If you're 25 years old, you're going to find a new job. So we were losing potential candidates to go to the academy. And also when we take the best qualified, we're hopefully going to lower our washout rate. Right now the washout rate is 35%. If we can get it down to 25%, we'll be way better off. We're rejiggering the staffing in Oklahoma City. So we think we can supercharge our air traffic controllers through the academy. That takes time. It's 2 to 3 years to certify a controller after they come out of the academy. What we've also done is controllers can retire after 25 years of service. And again, these are the best equipped controllers that we have. And so I've offered them a 20% upfront bonus of their salary to get them to stay on the job, not retire. And so hopefully we're going to have a lot of those controllers stay on the job. And as we bring more controllers on, we're going to deal with this 3,000 controller shortage. But again, you need to see problems and try to address the problems surrounding this sector that wasn't done over the past 4 years. Yeah.
Secretary, you mentioned air traffic controllers, and you said it takes a while to train them on specific areas.
Right.
Specifically on the training aspect of this, what is the short-term fix with that?
So you're talking about Newark, the Philly Tracon?
You said there was a shortage of air traffic controllers.
Yeah.
Specifically on training, it takes them over a year to get certified on any space. Is there anything that can be done to get them trained faster?
The question is, can I do something more quickly to train controllers? And the answer is no. This all takes time. You can't snap your fingers and have really complicated airspaces, where I can stand up controllers who understand it. And so all of this is going to take time, which is why I wish someone would have seen this in the years before I came into this job. But again, I want to pass this off to the next secretary where we have all of the controllers that we need and we have an infrastructure that is truly state-of-the-art and works for the American people. You got to think about this. Technology changes so quickly. We're dealing with 1980s, 1990s equipment. So think you used to use a cell phone or a flip phone, right? If I send an update to a flip phone, what do you get with the update to your flip phone? Nothing. If I have an iPhone, I can update that system over and over again. We're going to build this, and as new technology comes out, we'll have this infrastructure that we can build on top of. What's going to happen is the airspace is going to be safer, but with the technology we're going to deploy, it's going to breed more efficiency. There's more airplanes in the air today than ever, so we need efficiency in the airspace, and this brand new system will actually offer that as well. I'll do one more question, I got to go.
Can you clarify, is it true that over 1,000 would-be air traffic controllers were wiped out of consideration overnight because of diversity and inclusion hiring targets suddenly being implemented? Is that true?
So to that question, I've actually asked the IG to investigate it. I've asked an outside law firm to investigate, and there's a lawsuit pending on that right now. And because of that, I'm not going to comment on the specifics of that lawsuit.
Can you promise by the 4th of July?
Thank you, Press.
Can you promise by the 4th of July that everything at Newark will be smoother?
No, I can't.
By the 4th of July.
So in Newark, again, the proposal was 8 months. Then they gave me 6 months at the FAA. How fast can we do this? I believe we can do it by the summer. So is it the 4th of July? Again, we are trying to move at lightning speed, but also with always the backdrop that it has to be safe, right? Again, we put people's lives in our hands. And so I'm not going to put speed over safety. It's going to be as fast as we can and as safe as we can. And with that, thank you all very much.
Thank you. Still update on Real ID, the deadline tomorrow?
All right, so the Department of Transportation Secretary right there, Sean Duffy, talking about the workforce when it comes to ATC, air traffic control. And we're safe in people's hands like Sean Duffy because he is working tirelessly for air traffic control upgrades, whether it's the workforce or whatever. At the end of the day, getting things taken care of there for our country. 3:28, so the bottom of the hour here on RSBN Live. I'm Matthew Alvarez. Thanks for streaming in with us, getting ready for the FIFA task force meeting scheduled for any minute from now, literally scheduled for 3:30. We'll see if it starts right on time. If not, we'll be standing by with you right here, and we'll go to it live as it happens. All Family Pharmacy, one of our great sponsors here at Right Side Broadcasting Network. You see the website right there on your screen. You can also /RSBN because you'll get 10% off when you go to allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. So specifically, there are a number of medications out there like ivermectin and others that it's just sometimes really difficult to get your hands on, because at the end of the day, sometimes we have these other doctors that just won't do it, but this place right here, All Family Pharmacy, will. Imagine needing that medication, not being told that you can't have it, not because it's out of stock, but because someone decided you shouldn't have access. Well, it's already happened. We've seen it happen time and time again. They do have the ivermectin. They do have methylene blue, along with many more medications. The kind of medications, again, your local pharmacy won't touch and your doctor won't even mention. Most doctors definitely won't. They also have antibiotics and your everyday medications. And get this, more than 200 essential medications to keep your home stocked and your family ready. So All Family Pharmacy can take care of all that life throws at you. All you have to do is order online. Their doctors handle the prescription, and your medications get shipped right to your door, even overnight in some cases. So you just fill out some medical paperwork there. But allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. As you see there, get ivermectin and other essential medications. You can do that through this great sponsor. Without these awesome sponsors here at Right Side, we would not be able to bring you live events and live coverage as we continue to do here at the network. Let's shift over to Brightcore, mybrightcore.com. As you can see there, the website, mybrightcore.com/RSBN. The great product there is Kimchi One. This is a probiotic, great for gut health, as you see, immune support, anti-aging properties. 888-722-0936, or you can go to mybrightcore.com/RSBN. Receive up to a sizable percentage off there, as you see on your screen. Again, this is all about making America healthy again, both with All Family Pharmacy and Brightcore, the Kimchi One product. And if sometimes when we share these sponsors with you, if you don't get to see the phone number, say you started watching at the last second of the sponsor, just scrub back or just hit pause and rewind a little bit, screenshot it, get everything you need for the information there, including for Brightcore, a great sponsor at Right Side Broadcasting Network. All right, so it's 3:31. We'll be going to the White House here shortly as the FIFA Task Force meeting will be underway. Again, the FIFA World Cup in Los Angeles on June 12th, 2026. We'll hear more about that task force meeting coming up. Before we go to that, let's go to the month of May, of course, is May is Appreciation Month for the military. So we'll go to a video from the Department of Defense that posted this pretty recently.
He's going to do what he promised to do on the campaign trail.
He ain't no lame duck. If anything, he's a soaring eagle.
47 means business.
He's a man of his word.
My administration has launched the most sweeping border and immigration crackdown in American history. We will make America wealthy again.
The White House is holding all the cards.
My fellow Americans, this is Liberation Day. Our country will be woke no longer.
President Trump's been clear. We are turning the page on DEI.
We've ended the tyranny of so-called diversity, equity, and inclusion policies all across the entire federal government. I'm going to close the Department of Education and move education back to the states.
He is gutting liberal Washington, D.C. in a way that they say could be permanent.
We're going to also slash something else, the waste in our bloated federal bureaucracy. And to that end, I have created the brand new Department of Government Efficiency.
DOJ savings $162 billion.
We will strengthen and modernize our military.
The U.S. military is on a recruiting comeback. The Navy says it's on track for its best year since 2002.
Over 50,000 recruits have raised their right hand to join the Army so far this fiscal year.
We will keep men out of women's sports. From now on, women's sports will be only for women. I will terminate Lion Kamala's electric vehicle mandate and end immediately the Green New scam.
He pulled the plug
on Joe Biden's failed energy policy.
Biden-era regulations be gone. Leases will now be expedited and permits will be streamlined from here on out.
This is what it looks like when you do have a president who, number one, keeps his promises, is willing to fight.
You can't say that he's coming and not try to deliver on what he at least believes was his promises on the campaign trail, and he's doing so in historic fashion.
Donald Trump is crushing his to-do list.
And on Truth Social, President Trump, literally within the past 60 seconds, I see it says 32 seconds right here on Truth Social. President Trump seeing a quote and using a quote, Supreme Court lets Trump's ban on transgender military service take effect. So the Supreme Court has voted in favor of that for the military. So the ban on transgender people, there's a ban on that in the military, and that is now taking effect according to the Supreme Court. And President Trump, who just posted that on Truth Social. Speaking of Truth Social, President Trump also talking about the event that's about to happen here with this FIFA Task Force, saying, quote, I am proud to announce the appointment of Andrew Giuliani as the executive director of the President's Task Force on the 2026 FIFA World Cup. During my first term, Andrew served as a special assistant to the president and associate director of the Office of Public Liaison, playing a key role in creating the system that enabled athletes from around the world to re-enter the United States during the reopening of America in 2020. So that post goes on as well, but that per the president about 11 minutes ago on Truth Social. So some more news happening as we continue on from RSBN Live. Of course, quite an easy name for the broadcast, RSBN Live. That's what we are. We're live for you, and we share with you as we get it. Sometimes you just saw Sean Duffy, the Department of Transportation Secretary, talking about enhancing the air traffic control and the workforce. Specifically, of course, this broadcast for the Department of Justice press conference from earlier, and then now the FIFA Task Force meeting at the White House. But within those frameworks, what we see is anytime there's a live event or something else going on live, like the State Department press briefing that we dipped into, we'll bring it to you as we get it with specific coverage in mind. Of course, today the DOJ this morning and the FIFA Task Force meeting coming up here any minute from now, live on Right Side Broadcasting Network. So let's stay within sports and let's talk about not football, F-U-T-B-O-L, which is soccer, coming up, but let's go with American football. As you guys know, the NFL draft in Washington, D.C. in 2027. Here's a video from the White House.
To reveal that the 2027 NFL Draft will be held right here in our nation's capital, Washington, D.C., on the National Mall. Hundreds of thousands of football fans will travel all across our country to cheer them on in person. I think this is the greatest sight there is anywhere in the world for exactly what you guys are doing.
Mr. President, thank you. We're honored to be here in the Oval Office and to have you announce the 2027 NFL Draft.
All right, so let's go from American football to soccer or football, F-U-T-B-O-L, of course. Not a lot of experience in watching soccer except for pretty cool stuff. Those of you that are soccer fans out there, Ireland, Team Ireland versus Team Portugal with Ronaldo. Portugal, of course, Ronaldo, that's where he plays, right? So saw an exhibition game at MetLife Stadium in New Jersey where the Giants and the Jets play years ago. Pretty sweet to see Ronaldo, of course, Cristiano Ronaldo. I mean, someone that is super famous when it comes to that sport. But outside of that, I've seen few other soccer games, maybe with MLS, Columbus Crew in Columbus, Ohio, and the Chicago Fire were visiting during a playoff game then. It is a fun sport to watch when you're in person as well. But anyway, so FIFA, the great FIFA, as you know, a lot of people that like playing sports video games. The FIFA game is pretty popular out there. The World Cup will be in Los Angeles. It'll be on June 12th, 2026. And we'll hear more from the task force, this meeting that is scheduled for pretty much right now. And we'll go there live as soon as we see it. But thanks again for streaming in live with us as we saw a number of live elements just today. We started out, of course, with the Canadian Prime Minister, Mark Carney, who I'm told from our crew here, was speaking in Canada at the embassy there about his meeting with the president. But also, we saw the Oval Office meeting between the two leaders. We saw some of the executive orders from yesterday in the Oval Office. We also saw the State Department press briefing live. We saw Sean Duffy, the Department of Transportation Secretary, with a quick press gaggle outside of the West Wing of the White House. And then, of course, we'll be seeing this FIFA Task Force meeting on top of that DOJ meeting that happened earlier today. So a lot of coverage to go and look back at. We have 2 streams right now to check out. If you'd like to see any of what I just talked about, the prior stream with the Canadian Prime Minister, and then this stream right here. If you're just joining us and you want to see your news of the day, kind of like a news brief, the live events that have happened today, we've got you covered here at the network. We're not dipping in and out of things and not showing you it in its entirety, but also we're not going and talking any false talking points, false narrative talking points that is filled with the lies over there on the mainstream media. So looking forward to seeing another rally sometime in the future. It was great to see that coverage in Warren, Michigan the other day. And how about that commencement speech at the University of Alabama? Speaking of commencement speeches, let's look at some programming notes for you here at the network. We do know that on the 24th of this month, the president will speak at West Point in New York to the Army on May 24th for that commencement speech. On May 13th, prior to that, to the 16th, the president will travel to the Middle East, Qatar, UAE, so the United Arab Emirates, and Saudi Arabia. He'll be there for that. Also, within today's meeting, the president was teasing a huge announcement when it comes to the Middle East trip. We'll see what that is coming up as we get it. He didn't give us any more information on what that will be, but he said it is a positive but a very big announcement to make. In regards to the Middle East trip, we'll see what happens there. Again, that'll be coming up next week, so we'll have that coverage here at the network. June 14th, of course, Flag Day, President Trump's birthday. There will be a U.S. Army military parade celebrating 250 years for the Army. Looking forward to that coverage as well. That's a Saturday. We'll have that live coverage on Right Side Broadcasting Network. Looking forward to it. And looking forward to you joining us as you watch and as you comment on Rumble and other social media sites and streaming platforms out there, YouTube and on. The connection is always what we're about here at Right Side Broadcasting Network. We the people, a government of, by, and for the people. And we see that President Trump and his team are a government of the people. I thought about that the other day. What does of the people, by the people, for the people really mean? Because I think specifically about we the people, all of us out here in the country, minus how the government's handling everything. But it's really with this government, with this White House, this unprecedented White House, this is an actual government of the people. And of the people is President Donald Trump and J.D. Vance and Carolyn Leavitt and Stephen Miller, and the list goes on. So really, we have a government of the people right now. It's pretty interesting to think of it that way. I don't know, maybe everybody thought of it that way, but I didn't. I thought about all of us out here in the country, not in the D.C. bubble. But we actually have someone in that White House of the people. He is part of it, by the people and for the people. Anyway, I got a squeaky chair here. It's 3:42, Tuesday, May 6th, right here live on RSBN Network. Looking forward to going to the FIFA meeting here, scheduled for 3:30 Eastern. It's 3:42 right now. We've played a number of videos for you, including the Department of Defense May Appreciation Month for the military. We also played a number of other videos, including a few of President Trump's videos from earlier as well. So what we'll do now, let's shift gears. Let's go over to seeing some of the latest news of the day at this point at 3:43 Eastern Time. We do see President Trump talking about the Supreme Court letting the Trump ban on transgender military service take effect. So there's a ban for that. Also, President Trump talking about announcing an appointment of Andrew Giuliani as the executive director of the President's Task Force on the 2026 FIFA World Cup. We also see President Trump posting the video that we've been showing a lot here from the Department of Defense. And it says here specifically, this May, take the time to honor the sacrifices and contributions of our armed forces. Thank you for your service and commitment, and a great video there as well. The president also highlighting some other announcements or other articles. He also said that there's a big announcement coming soon. He posted that about 52 minutes ago on Truth Social. So obviously we'll air the information as we get it here at Right Side Broadcasting Network. Let's go to the fact that it's a bit late now, so why don't we do this? Let's go to the meeting between the Canadian Prime Minister and President Trump, and we will be awaiting the president again as he holds a FIFA Task Force meeting. So let's go to that Oval Office meeting. As soon as I hear that that's ready to go, Director, we can go to that from earlier today as we stand by for this meeting. All right, let's go to it. Let's go to this from earlier, but also just programming note, as soon as we see a live feed for this task force meeting, we'll be jumping to that. But let's go to this morning, just in case you missed it, from the Oval Office.
Yeah, it's a great honor to have Prime Minister Mark Carney with us. As you know, just a few days ago, he won a very big election in Canada. And I think I was probably the greatest thing that happened to him, but I can't take full credit. His party was losing by a lot, and he ended up winning. So I really want to congratulate him. It was probably one of the greatest comebacks in the history of politics, maybe even greater than mine. You know? But I want to just congratulate you. That was a great election, actually. We were watching it with interest, and I think Canada chose a very talented person, a very good person, because we spoke before the election quite a few times. And it's an honor to have you at the White House and the Oval Office. And you see the new and improved Oval Office as it becomes more and more beautiful with love. You know, we handle it with great love, and 24-karat gold. That always helps too. Right? But it's been a lot of fun. We're going over some of the beautiful pictures that were stored in the vaults that were for many, many years, in some cases over 100 years. They were stored in vaults of the great presidents, or almost great presidents, all having a reason for being up, every one of them. So it's very interesting. But I just want to congratulate you, and ran a really great race. I watched the debate. I thought you were excellent, and I think we have a lot of things in common. We have some tough points to go over, and that'll be fine. We're going to also be discussing Ukraine-Russia, the war, because Mark wants it ended as quickly as I do. I think it has to end. We had some very good news last night. The Houthis have announced that they are not, or they've announced to us at least, that they don't want to fight anymore. They just don't want to fight. And we will honor that. And we will stop the bombings. And they have capitulated, but more importantly, we will take their word. They say they will not be blowing up ships anymore. And that's what the purpose of what we were doing. So that's just news. We just found out about that. So I think that's very, very positive. They were knocking out a lot of ships going, as you know, sailing beautifully down the various seas. It wasn't just the canal. It was a lot of other places. And I will accept their word, and we are going to stop the bombing of the Houthis, effective immediately. And Marco, you'll let everybody know that, okay? Do you have something to say about that, by the way? It's a pretty big announcement.
Yeah, this was always a freedom of navigation mission. These guys, these are, a band of individuals with advanced weaponry that were threatening global shipping, and the job was to get that to stop. And if it's going to stop, then we can stop. And I think it's an important development.
And we'll have maybe before, we're going to, as you know, the Middle East, Saudi Arabia. We're going to UAE and Qatar. And that'll be, I guess, Monday night. Some of you are coming with us. I think before then we're going to have a very, very big announcement to make, like as big as it gets. And I won't tell you on what, but it's going to, and it's very positive. I'd tell you if it was negative or positive. I can't keep that out. It is really, really positive. And that announcement will be made either Thursday or Friday or Monday before we leave. But it'll be one of the most important announcements that have been made in many years about a certain subject, very important subject. So you'll all be here. Mark, would you like to say a few words?
Well, thank you, Mr. President. I'm on the edge of my seat, actually,
I
for the big announcement. But thank you for your hospitality and above all for your leadership. You're a transformational president. Focus on the economy with a relentless focus on the American worker, securing your borders, ending the scourge of fentanyl and other opioids, and securing the world. And I've been elected with my colleagues here. With the help of my colleagues here, I'm going to spread the credit to transform Canada with a similar focus on the economy, securing our borders, again on fentanyl, much greater focus on defense and security, securing the Arctic and developing the Arctic. And the history of Canada and the U.S. is we're stronger when we work together, and there's many opportunities to work together. And I look forward to, addressing some of those issues that we have, but also finding those areas of mutual cooperation so we can move forward.
That's great. Very nice. Thank you very much. It's a very nice statement.
Anybody? Is USMCA dead?
No, it was actually very effective.
Okay, so for those of you glued to watching that, I hear you. That aired live right here on Right Side. You can also watch the entire Q&A back and forth with the president and the prime minister on the other stream that we have on Rumble and other places. So basically what we're waiting for now, standing by for the president for the FIFA Task Force meeting. We'll go to that live, and then maybe after that, if you really want to see the Q&A between the president and the questions or the reporters, you can go ahead and click on that link as well. Wherever you're watching us, I think about all the places that you can watch Right Side. Of course, Rumble, the great conservative in a way, I believe, right? Streaming outlet that is just really on the right side of history. You have other options as well out there. So whether it's Facebook, X, you have YouTube, Truth Social, Getter. You can obviously watch on our app. I didn't know, but my mom actually watches on the app. So that's pretty cool. So she watches on the app, but the website, rsbnetwork.com, so many places you can watch us. And it's great because you can also click on the links, you can scrub back, you can check it all out. Having said all that, thank you so much for streaming in on this Tuesday, May 6th, 3:51 Eastern Time. Approaching the 4 o'clock hour, approaching the top of the hour. Let's go to mypillow.com/RSBN. So many products, as you guys know, more than 2,000 products on there, including the Percale bed sheets. The closeout sale, $25 a pop. There you go, RSBN code. A lot of you out there have MyPillow products. How do I know? Because everybody I've talked to has them. I mean, if I'm out at a rally over the campaign season, or I've worked here at Right Side since September of 2022. So we know that people like Mike Lindell, they have the MyPillows, they have the slides, the slippers, the Percale sheets, the Giza sheets, so many different products, including my coffee, which I tasted a few months back. Very good stuff as well. So if you want some more of those products, or if you're looking for a gift for somebody, mypillow.com/RSBN, and save with that promo code RSBN. Also, I do remember with MyPillow some of the major department stores. I can think of one, Bed Bath, and that one. They decided, we're not going to sell his pillows anymore. And then what happened? When you boycott, it really can do a big thing. And when you have the majority of the country that are not on the side of wokeism, well, you go woke, you go broke. But Mike Lindell doing a great job there, of course, with MyPillow out of Minnesota, mypillow.com/RSBN, an awesome longtime sponsor at Right Side Broadcasting Network. Saw some really nice comments on YouTube, on Rumble as well. It didn't say my name or anything, but it was in general about Right Side Broadcasting Network, how RSBN has been loyal to the viewers, loyal to showing President Trump's speeches, and also saying, look at the station doing, great things and that kind of thing. So we see you. We're really that common sense here at the network. We're with the people of the country, on the majority of the people of the country when it comes to freedom and common sense. And we hope that more will join the Common Sense Party, AKA America First, and President Trump with what he's doing domestically and internationally. So looking forward again to bringing you live to the White House any minute from now. Again, my name is Matthew Alvarez. If you'd like to follow on Truth Social, I don't do this much anymore, but I do love Truth Social. I like X too, of course. Elon Musk and that freedom marketplace there, the whole world's chat room, basically, Elon said the other day, is X. However, we're seeing a lot as well jump onto Truth Social, and it's great to have that camaraderie and community on Truth. So you could follow us on RSBN. So it's at RSBN is how you follow us on Truth. My name is Matthew Alvarez, if you'd like to follow me on Truth. But also, of course, Robert McNeely's on there and others at the network. So great to see you there, and great to have a little bit of community. And this, specifically, knowing what we've gone through over the past 4 years under, as Bobby calls them, auto pen. President Trump jokingly talked about that yesterday at the Oval Office, saying, aren't you glad that we don't have an auto pen president still in the White House? And you see President Trump, when he takes that Sharpie and he signs his name, he takes his time, signs the name. And I remember when he used to say, that's a 10, you know, how good the signature is. Anyway, it's great to cover someone that is an outsider and the real deal. And that's what we want here at this network. And I know that's what you, the American people, want. You want people that are just straight up real with you. And that's what we have in President Trump and all of these cabinet leaders that he has hired. So looking forward to covering more of this White House with you guys right here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. All right, so it's 3:55, approaching the top of the hour. We do know, again, that the FIFA World Cup will be in LA June 12th, 2026. So let's talk about some dates. So June 12th, 2026, the FIFA World Cup in Los Angeles. We're going to have that task force meeting here soon, hopefully. And then on top of that, just a month later next year, will be July 4th, 2026, and it will be the 250th birthday party for the United States of America. According to President Trump, back when we were talking about, you know, the 20 core promises of the RNC and the promises to the American people, I believe it was called Agenda 47, I think, right? Task Force 47, something 47, because we've talked so many numbers since then. But one of the things there was that the Iowa State Fairgrounds would host the 250th birthday party on July 4th, 2026. But let's just rewind to just next month, June 14th, Flag Day, President Trump's birthday, but also the 250th birthday for the United States Army. So we're going to see that happening coming up June 14th. I have no idea on the details with that, to be honest with you. I don't know where it's going to be at. If anybody knows where it's going to be, let me know. But we'll be looking forward to covering it. June 14th, a Saturday, next month. We'll have that coverage for you. And let's go back between May as well and just share some programming notes as we await this task force meeting at the White House. That on May 24th, commencement speech at West Point for the Army there. President Trump will be delivering that address. And then May 13th through the 16th, as you've heard a few times here, Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates, and Qatar. President Trump will make a Middle East visit. Other than that, when I look on Truth Social, President Trump saying a big announcement coming soon. We'll see what that has to do with and what it is. We know it's a positive announcement according to the president, so we'll see what that is as it is delivered. Maybe it's something we'll hear about this week or next week. I do believe it has something to do with his Middle East trip, so we'll see. But we'll have it for you here at Right Side. All right, 3 minutes from the top of the hour. Let's go to a commercial break. We'll be right back here on Right Side Broadcasting Network.
Welcome to Right Side Broadcasting Network, your trusted conservative news outlet. At RSBN, we deliver the truth when the mainstream media falls short. Since 2015, we've proudly broadcasted every single one of President Trump's iconic MAGA rallies, bringing you the excitement and energy live before anyone else. By watching RSBN, you get an unfiltered front row view of the action on the ground. We interview the crowds to give a voice to millions of Americans just like you. We show you President Trump's speeches in their entirety, free from interruptions and censorship. We cover the stories that matter to you with the integrity and passion you deserve. Thank you for choosing RSBN as your home for America First News. Together, we stand strong, united, and informed. So join us and be part of the right side of history.
President Trump is keeping his promises and saving America. And your kids can learn all about it for free with a new Kids Guide to President Trump. This fun guide shows kids all the steps President Trump is taking to put America back on top of the world stage, including building a strong economy, protecting our borders, and negotiating trade deals. It's an exciting way for kids to learn about President Trump's outstanding leadership. Act now and get a free bonus guide, The Courage of the President. Order now at freetrumpbook.com. That's freetrumpbook.com.
You've heard how hard it can be to get access to medications like ivermectin, all the things they don't want you to take because they're actually effective and they don't cost all that much, right? You've seen that one before. So it's critical to have something like that on hand for any emergency and to be prepared in a time of crisis. And that's why I want to tell you about All Family Pharmacy. They're cutting through the nonsense and they make it easy to get hard to find medications when you need them most. They'll provide the prescription, no hoops to jump through, no waiting room, no hassle, and they deliver it right to your door. All Family Pharma even lets you order in bulk so you can stay ahead of the curve. Head over to allfamilypharmacy.com for 10% off your first order. Again, allfamilypharmacy.com. It's simple. Get the 10% savings. Be prepared.
Hey y'all, it's Silk from the Diamond and Silk Chit Chat live show. Look, don't forget to check me out right here on RSBN Network. Be sure to watch the show on Right Side Broadcasting Network, and I want you to support Right Side Broadcasting Network. Yes, it's imperative that you do so, okay? I look to see y'all soon. Bye-bye.
Hello, everyone. I'm excited to announce the next generation of energy drinks, Rev 7. It has no sugar and no caffeine. Instead, Rev 7 uses Go BHB. Go BHB is one of the body's primary ketones, and it provides the most efficient and clean fuel that your body needs. It also helps you stay energized all day with no crashes. Not only that, it produces 3 times more brain energy than sugar, which helps boost your memory, focus, and mental sharpness. It also helps reduce stress and helps balance your mood. Rev 7 does all that while being the best tasting energy drink ever. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to save 20% today. I'm so sure you're going to love Rev 7. For a limited time, you get our introductory 3-pack absolutely free. I drink Rev 7 every day, and I absolutely love it, and so will you.
Welcome back to RSBN Live. We are still standing by for this FIFA Task Force meeting. In the meantime, let's go to our Trump on Truth segment, specifically about Tina Peters in Colorado. Check this out. So President Trump said, quote, radical left Colorado Attorney General Phil Weiser ignores illegals committing violent crimes like rape and murder in his state and instead jailed Tina Peters, a 69-year-old Gold Star mother who worked to expose and document Democrat election fraud. This is an innocent political prisoner being horribly and unjustly punished in the form of cruel and unusual punishment. This is a communist prosecution or persecution by the radical left Democrats to cover up their election crimes and misdeeds in 2020. President Trump continues to say about Tina Peters in the situation, the same Democrat party that flies to El Salvador to try to free an MS-13 terrorist is cruelly imprisoning, perhaps for life, a grandmother whose brave and heroic son gave his life for America. Colorado must end this unjust incarceration of an innocent American. President Trump says, I am hereby directing the Department of Justice to take all necessary action to help secure the release of this quote-unquote hostage being held in a Colorado prison by the Democrats for political reasons. President Trump in bold letters at the end of this post just the other day saying, quote, free Tina Peters now, with an exclamation point. And her name has been going throughout conservative circles and across this country for quite some time. Great to see President Trump with that post there, and now the DOJ getting involved to free Tina Peters. All right, so if you don't know anything about the case, you can go ahead and look that up online and figure it out, because at the end of the day, this person just trying to do her due diligence as an American citizen for free and fair elections and then Colorado just decides to put her in jail. So she's been in jail for quite some time, and President Trump saying free Tina Peters. That's something that I'm sure we all get aboard are all on board for. All right, you look there, you see FIFA Task Force meeting. It was scheduled for 3:30. We're now 33 minutes past the start time there at the White House. Of course, standing by to see what the meeting's all about outside of specifically the 30,000-foot view. We know it's about FIFA. We know it's about the World Cup coming up in Los Angeles next year. But specifically, what kinds of details will be shared? Well, that's what we're here for. So we also want to see and hear President Trump and what he's going to talk about when it comes to being a part of the World Cup in America coming up next year in Los Angeles. Also, as you guys know, the NFL Draft now will be in Washington, D.C. in 2027. And then from there, we've seen the Ohio State Buckeyes, the Florida Panthers, and the Philadelphia Eagles at the White House, all championship teams within their leagues, visiting the 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. Great to see all of those things happen. I'm glad President Trump cares about sports like he does, including no men and women's sports. Hopefully every local, every town or every municipality, every borough, every state will follow suit with that. No men and women's sports. Kind of ridiculous that we have to bring it up, as President Trump has said over the past few months when it comes to the campaign season. But that's the world that we don't want to really be living in, is a woke world where it's radical and leftist. All right, so again, Tuesday, May 6th, stretching a little bit now, to be honest with you, as we are awaiting this meeting there, the FIFA Task Force meeting, as we know that this World Cup will be in Los Angeles coming up next year. All right, let me double check on some other situations out there happening. We know President Trump speaking the other day on Truth Social, saying the polls from the fake news are, like the news itself, fake. We're doing great, better than ever before. And that's always a topic we can bring up here at the network when it comes to the mainstream media. But really, though, I think that everybody is pretty much aware that they are fake news, and they unfortunately continue to do so with the false narrative, trying to continue to act like what President Trump and this cabinet is doing is wrong for America. It is quite the contrary. It's quite the opposite. We know what is happening is right for this country, and we see that's why what happened in 2024, November 5th, we saw the majority of our country voting red. We saw the wins by all of the states out there when it comes to the 7 so-called swing states. They all went to President Trump. It was too big to rig. And that leads me to my next point about the midterm elections in 2026, making that too big to rig. That election, I believe, have to treat like this past election, the presidential election. It's that important for the House and for the Senate to remain in power or control of people that lean more towards common sense. Not saying everybody in Congress and Senate are MAGA and are on our side when it comes to Republicans as well. But what we do want to see is the majority of the Republican Party to be on the right side of history. And we hope to see more and more join this movement. And it's not just MAGA. Within that framework, it's the freedom conservative movement that we've seen in our country. So we know that President Trump would be trolling in a way, saying, hey, I'm going to be running in 2028. But we know that specifically, will he actually do it? People say, well, there's still time to go and that kind of thing. I'm not going to chime in on what I think about it, but I do say it'd be great to have President Trump in 2028 for 4 more years and on. How about for 10 more years? But the point is, we are really looking forward to having someone that would really be able to take over and do great things for our country, just as President Trump is doing. So I'm hearing that we're getting a little bit of a feed from the White House right now. Is that correct, guys? All right, let's toss it to the White House right now as we get ready to see this FIFA Task Force meeting.
Presented Johnny with the charter, and the charter is a very big deal. I just signed it. And Johnny, I want to congratulate you and your sport in FIFA for the great success of what we're going to be doing together. Very special. Very small signature. That one got big. That means I guess I like the event even more so than usual. But I want to thank you all and welcome to the first meeting of the White House FIFA Task Force. I'm thrilled to be joined today by Vice President J.D. Vance. Thank you, J.D. FIFA President Gianni Infantino, FIFA Senior Advisor Carlos Cordaro, and CEO of Fox Sports, Eric Shanks. Where's Eric? Where's Eric Shanks? Hello, Eric. You got a pretty good seat. I don't know. It's not bad. If I'm looking for you at this table, you should be at this table. Hi, Eric. Along with members of my cabinet, Scott Bessent, Pam Bondi, Howard Lutnick, Sean Duffy, Kristi Noem, Russ Vogt, Deputy Secretary Christopher Landau, and Deputy Secretary Steve Feinberg. I also want to welcome two of my very good friends, Bernard Arnault and Alex Arnault. They own a little company around the world. One of their smaller companies is Tiffany, and Tiffany made the beautiful trophy, and I guess it's around here someplace, not this one, the other one, wherever it may be. Here it is behind me, and it's really a work of art. But I want to just welcome Bernard and Alex. Where are you? Where are you? Okay, good. They have no lack of cash. I know that. They're great, and they're great people. We've been friends for a long time. Thank you very much for being here. It's a great honor to have you both. We're also joined by Senators Shelley Moore Capito and Todd Young. Where are they? Where are they? Hi, Shelley. How are you? Hi, Todd. How you doing? You're getting younger looking, Todd, I'll tell you. It's pretty young to start off with, right? Oh, you too. She said, what about me? What are you two? Even more so, Todd, right? That's very cute. Representatives Damon LaHood and Brian Stile, thank you very much. Thank you very much, fellas. Thank you. Good. FBI Director Kash Patel, who's doing a fantastic job. Thank you very much, Kash. Appreciate it. And our Executive Director, Andrew Giuliani, just got the post, and he's going to be great. I know him for a long time. He's a highly competitive golfer, which, I mean, really good. And he's also a highly competitive person, and he loves what we're doing. So I want to congratulate you and your family and your father, your great father, who's the greatest mayor in the history of New York. So I want to congratulate the family. It's a big post. You better do well, Andrew. Tell him, is my golf game okay, too? Oh, so he knew what to say, see? Well, he's a smart person. That's why I appointed him. Together, this group will help plan the biggest, safest, and most extraordinary soccer tournament in history, and that's what it's going to be, Johnny. In my first term, I negotiated the return of the World Cup to America, and now in my second term, I'll have the honor of hosting the World Cup for the first time of any president in more than 30 years. And remember, we also have a few other events. I must tell you that we have the 2028 Olympic Games. We have the 250-year celebration of America. That's a big one. I don't know. Maybe that's the biggest. I don't know. That could be the biggest. But that's going to be unbelievable. It's going to be essentially, Todd, that's going to be a year-long celebration. We have the G20, and that'll be in December of 26. We have the G7, used to be the G8, by the way, and that's in 2027. And that's a lot of action we have going for the next 4 years, 3.5 years. It's going to be amazing for the country, I believe. Starting this June, the United States will host the 2025 Club World Cup, which will feature 32 elite soccer clubs from all over the world competing in 63 matches across 11 American cities, including Cincinnati, Ohio, Charlotte, North Carolina, Los Angeles, California, Nashville, Tennessee, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. So we have it in 11 American cities all over. And these are great cities, too, and they like soccer more and more. I guess some of those cities specifically, they really love it. And next summer, we'll host the official 2026 World Cup tournament, where 48 national teams will compete in 78 matches right here in the USA. And that'll be something very, very different and very special. These events will attract millions of passionate fans around the world, including my son. I have a son that loves soccer, Barron. Nobody's ever heard of Barron, right? Have you ever heard of Barron? He's a good soccer player, too. He's a little tall for soccer, but that's okay. And over 1 billion viewers. You're going to have one of the biggest viewerships of any sport at any time. This will be a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to showcase the beauty and the greatness of America, and we can't wait to welcome soccer fans from all over the globe. I don't know if I'm supposed to say soccer or football, because every time I say soccer, Barron and Eric say you're really saying it wrong. It's supposed to be football, but we know it more as soccer. These events will also generate tens of billions of dollars in economic activity for local businesses and create thousands and thousands of jobs for American workers. I've directed my entire team to do everything within our power to make the World Cup an unprecedented success, and that's what it's going to be. We're going to make sure of it. The State Department, the Department of Homeland Security, and every part of the U.S. government will be working to ensure that these events are safe and successful, and those traveling to America to watch the competition have a seamless experience during every part of their visit. It's going to be very special. Together, we will ensure that the 2026 World Cup will be the best-run soccer tournament the world has ever seen. This is going to blow every other tournament you did. You're going to say how terrible a job you did in the past, because this is so much better, Gianni. This is going to blow them all away. I don't want to insult my other friends from other countries, but we're going to blow them away, right? So now I'd like to introduce, and he has been a friend of mine. We fought very hard to get the event, and I think before the media came in, I said that I was very disappointed because I got the event, Johnny. I think we can say that strongly. And then I said it won't be in my term and I won't be able to see it. And then bad things happened with the election, and now we do see it. So I just repeat that because for the press to hear, I'm sure they're thrilled to hear it. But I'd like to ask FIFA President Gianni Infantino, really one of the most powerful men in sports. It's amazing because you've done such an incredible job with soccer. Followed by Vice President J.D. Vance, then Secretary Kristi Noem, and Secretary Sean Duffy to say a few words. So Johnny, and then we'll go in that order. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. President, Mr. Vice President, members of the cabinet, members of the task force, the White House task force, for this incredible event, or events actually, which will be happening here in America in the year to come. We were actually, Mr. President, so happy that the World Cup 2026 will take place in the United States, in Canada and in Mexico, that we thought we'll actually bring another World Cup as well here. So you get 2 World Cups in the next year, the new FIFA Club World Cup. This is the trophy of the new FIFA Club World Cup.
Did you notice the way he said that? In the United States, Canada, Mexico. That's the way it's supposed to be. I had to interrupt. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, well, 78 games will take place of the World Cup in the United States out of the 104 games. But the Club World Cup this year is a new competition, will take place in the United States, in 11 cities of the United States. It's new. It will make history in 250 years when they will celebrate the 250 years anniversary of the FIFA Club World Cup. Well, they will speak about this meeting. They will speak about the United States of America because it is a big event. The 32 best club teams in the world, with players from over 90 different countries, will come here for the first time in history to compete, and we will see who is the real world champion in club football. And this happens before the World Cup, of course, next year. So in 40 days, a bit less than 40 days, on the 14th of June in Miami, we will open the FIFA Club World Cup. Opening game, the final on the 13th of July in New York, New Jersey, and in between 63 top games of the best players, of the best clubs in the world who want to win this trophy here, crafted by Tiffany, and I'm thanking as well the Arnaud family for being here. They are in soccer as well now in Paris. They've just been promoted to the top division. So congratulations for that. Actually, Mr. President, soccer or football, maybe we can clarify that here.
I'll do whatever you
Let me give it a try, if I may. So we, basically, everyone outside of this beautiful country, we call football a game we play with our feet.
Right.
That's why we call it football.
Makes sense.
Makes sense.
It makes a lot of sense.
In this beautiful country, you call football a game you play with your hands. Right? So I don't know who's right, but the important, Mr. President, whether we call it soccer or football, is that we have fun, that we enjoy. And that's what FIFA is about. FIFA is, I say this as well to all the media present, because everyone else knows it, FIFA is an official provider of happiness to humanity. And in the next year, we are providing happiness to humanity from the United States of America. And that's why we are happy to be here. So we have the Club World Cup this year. We have the World Cup next year, United States, Canada and Mexico, of course, 104 games, Mr. President, 104 Super Bowls in 1 month. We'll have 6 billion viewers. The final alone will attract between 2 and 3 billion viewers. This is, 15, 20 times more than the Super Bowl. The entire world will focus on the United States of America. And America welcomes the world. I'm very happy to say that, Mr. President, because I know you. I've had meetings with several members of your cabinet as well. You have established this task force. America will welcome the world, everyone who wants to come here to enjoy, to have fun, to celebrate the game. We'll be able to do that in the host cities, in the 11 cities all over the country, in all these fan festivals that we will create. We have 10 million tickets for sale, so anyone who doesn't yet have a ticket, go on FIFA.com/tickets. 10 million tickets, 3.5 million for the Club World Cup, 6.5 million for the World Cup. And how do we measure success, Mr. President? Well, in many ways, of course. Full stadiums is one of that. The economic impact is another one of that. Dear Secretary, these 2 World Cups will bring almost 50 billion in economic output to the United States of America. They will create almost 300,000 jobs in America. For the celebration of 2 World Cups, which will bring the world to the United States, a few million fans will come, a few billion will watch it from home, but everyone will be happy and everyone will be celebrating how the United States of America will put up the best events ever that the world has seen. Not just sport events, but the best events. We are here for that. We are here to work for that. We are here to work all together as a team to celebrate the United States, the 250th anniversary, as well to celebrate the world and the World Cup around a soccer ball or a football, and to make sure that everything happens as well, as you said, Mr. President, in a safe, in a secure environment. So we have, and the world has, of course, full and entire confidence in the United States and in all the partners, in all the agencies, to make sure that we will bring to the world something that they have never seen and they will probably never see again. Thank you very much. We are here for that, and I'm looking forward to these 2 World Cups. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President.
Well, thank you, Mr. President, and thanks to this incredible group that we've assembled. I'm proud to be the vice chair of this for a couple of reasons. First of all, the last time the president had me around a national or international sports trophy was the college football playoff national championship, and I almost broke it. And so I appreciate the president giving me a second chance here. But as all of you know, soccer is a sport of incredible grace and finesse and beauty. These are 3 things that have nothing to do with politics, and so we're thrilled to have the FIFA World Cup in the United States of America. I think that you'll see the very best of the United States of America, both in athletic competition but also in hospitality, something our boss knows quite a bit about. And so we're excited to have you. We're excited for this event, and we will do everything at the government level to make this thing as successful as we can. And I will say, before I turn it over to the next speaker, that, of course, everybody is welcome to come and see this incredible event. I know we'll have visitors probably from close to 100 countries. We want them to come. We want them to celebrate. We want them to watch the game. But when the time is up, they'll have to go home. Otherwise, they'll have to talk to Secretary Noem, who I'll turn it over to now.
Well, thank you, Mr. President. Thank you so much for dreaming big dreams and doing unprecedented things. Your entire life you have stood for doing things that other people thought they couldn't do and accomplishing unprecedented events and achievements. And so this is one of those events that I think is going to be remarkable and will stand the test of time as the world's greatest sporting event ever held and conducted. You are honoring us by agreeing to be the chairman of this event. The vice president has greatly honored us by being the vice chair. And also we have a remarkable leader in Andrew Giuliani who stepped up and will be the executive director of making sure that we're not just conducting and hosting people from all around the world, but that we're also doing it safely. You have tasked our department, the Department of Homeland Security, with making sure these events are safe and secure. And it will be a challenge, but one that we welcome because we know that America is in a place where we invite people to be a part of our livelihood. We want to expose all of the American people to the wonders of this sport. And I believe that the old proverb that says, what you see with your eyes, you carry with your heart, is what will happen when we host this event. Carlos has agreed to step up and be a senior advisor as well to the task force, and his knowledge and expertise has been incredibly valuable in all of the meetings and organizational efforts that we've already put forward. So, sir, you know, as all of us do that have participated in sports, that there's something that happens when you're involved in competition. You spend time with people, you relax, you are out there enjoying success, but also recognizing failures and challenges and overcoming them. There's a bonding that happens among people, and I believe that's what you are doing, is creating an opportunity for the world to become a friendlier place. We will welcome over 2 million visitors that will come here from other countries. We will have 10 million different tickets. 22 million people will interact with these activities. And it is an opportunity to have people bond with each other, to create a friendlier world where we will be able to do business. We'll be able to enjoy their visits here. We will take care of their documentation and travel documents, and it will go smoothly, and we will make sure that they can come and enjoy and bring their families and friends and make memories together. It's going to be incredibly special. So thank you for leading at an unprecedented time and doing so with big visions for the future. Thank you for doing this.
Thank you very much, Christy. Appreciate it. Sean?
Thank you, Mr. President. "11 U.S. cities, 78 games in the U.S., and I think you said it's just like 78 Super Bowls next summer in the U.S. So this is massive, Mr. President. Thank you for putting together the task force. You know that great events don't happen unless you have great planning, and starting well over a year in advance, putting your team together to make sure this event goes off without a hitch. I thank you for that. As part of the DOT, again, we're going to move a lot of people around the country. A lot of American spectators, but a lot of foreign spectators are going to come into the country, and security and safety is key. We're going to work with Homeland and Christie to make sure we secure our airspace around these events. We're moving people from city to city and from hotels to the fan festivals to the stadiums, making sure we have enough transportation, whether it's trains and buses in the cities that host this great event. We're working through that, as well as making sure our airlines and our airports are ready to facilitate the travel throughout the country. And so this is everyone working together. What I think is great, Mr. President, I have to imagine this was part of the plan. You're like, let's bring in the World Cup in the year of America's 250th birthday. So not only is America going to celebrate our 250th, we're going to bring in millions of people to celebrate with us. I know State and Homeland and DOT and all of us are going to work together to make sure it is seamless travel. We want everyone to come to America. We want everyone to spend a lot of money in America. By the way, as part of the DOT's 250 celebration, we're going to encourage everyone to go on a road trip, Mr. President. to celebrate our great country. And so if you're coming to see some soccer, not football or soccer, go on a road trip. See America. Don't overstay your visa. Don't stay too long. But when you come, actually see this great country that we're going to celebrate over the course of the next year. And again, we welcome everyone. This team is going to work full-heartedly together to make sure these events go off without a hitch, and we're all able to celebrate the great athletes from around the world, 48 countries, coming in to compete in our great country. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you very much, Sean. Thank you. Would you have any questions of these great people or anybody around the table, please? Yeah, please go ahead.
Canada here today, and with him and with also the President of Mexico, there's been some recent tensions between them and the United States. Are you worried about any problems with that joint partnership as co-hosts of the World Cup next year?
No, I don't see any tension either. We get along very well with both. They just got to pay a little more money, you know. They're just they're getting away with things that they shouldn't be, and they understand. We had a great meeting today, actually, with the new Prime Minister, who's a terrific guy, and we had a very long session with JD and Marco and everybody, and it went very well. No, we had a very great meeting, and no tension. We want to do what's right for our respective peoples, and that's what's going to happen. And also with Mexico, I think the relationship is really very good with the President of Mexico, as you know, you probably heard. And we're going to have a very good relationship with regard to FIFA. I have no doubt about it. Johnny would know better than anybody, but you understand. I mean, I think the relationship is very good. Thank you very much. Question? Yeah, please.
What will be the level of interaction, cooperation with Canada and Mexico as it relates to next year's World Cup? Are you already talking to them?
Yeah, we are. It's total, complete. We talked about it even today at our meeting with Canada, and the level is total. It's going to be perfect. Going to be beautiful. They're very excited about it. Yeah, please.
Visa applications for people around the world who want to come to the United States for the World Cup.
Yeah.
And if I may, just a second question for maybe Mr. Duffy. Secretary Duffy, is there anything long-lasting transportation-wise that Americans can expect from infrastructure being built for the World Cup?
So we'll start with Christy in terms of the applications.
Absolutely. This summer, by hosting the club championships, we're processing those travel documents and visa applications already and working with Carlos and Johnny and their team to make sure that they're done timely and being proactive of it. And then that is obviously going to be a precursor to what we can do next year for the World Cup as well. So it is all being facilitated. We appreciate the partnership that we've got on all of this with the State Department as well. And I know we've got the Attorney General and Cash at the FBI too, interested in being all hands on deck to make sure this goes smoothly.
Thank you. Sean?
Yeah, so basically these are going to be short-term needs. So we're going to have to bring in, buses and additional forms of transportation. Miami doesn't have the capacity with their transit system to carry all of the people. We're going to go from hotels and restaurants to stadiums and the fan center. So we're going to have to manage those assets, bring them in from around the country to move people, but they won't be needed there long term. So again, I don't foresee long-term changes. This is a short-term push of folks coming in to see great soccer matches, and then they'll go home.
Okay. Yeah, please.
Question about your thoughts on Madison Square Garden. The Transportation Department recently took over the refurbishment of Penn Station, and I was wondering if you have an opinion on the proposal to move Madison Square Garden to allow for a more classical train station to be built above.
To move it?
To move it, yes.
That was thought of years. Jim Dolan's going to have something to say about that, and I've not heard of any recent plans. They tried to do that for years. They've tried to move it, but I think Jim probably likes his location sitting on top of all the trains. I can't blame him necessarily. There's not too much of a move. They are going to do something with Penn Station. We'll be involved in that. We'll work with the governor, and we'll be involved with that very much. Okay? Thank you. Yeah, please, go ahead.
Have asked for more than $600 million in federal funding for security. Do you support that? And perhaps Secretary Noem can weigh in.
On security? Yeah. Yeah, I support really whatever that takes. And any money that's spent will make up manyfold in terms of all of the economic development. These events, especially what we're talking, and you have FIFA and then you have the Olympics. And these events, if properly done, make a tremendous amount of money and prestige. I think it's a great allure and prestige for our country and for the cities where they are. It's going to be amazing, yeah, but we won't hold back at all on security, most importantly. Okay, thank you. Yeah, please.
First question, is there any reason you haven't referred to Mark Carney as governor as you did with Trudeau? And the second question, you said earlier that you don't have to sign any trade deals, of course. Is there any country you expect to sign a trade deal with this week, as Secretary Bessent has indicated?
Well, we're looking at a lot of them. We're talking to a lot of them right now. I think I don't want to bore people with that, but I gave a very long definition this morning in the Oval Office. We're in very, very good shape. This country's never been in better shape, and we're doing great. We were being ripped off by every country in the world virtually, and now we're not being ripped off anymore. It's very simple, very, very simple. As far as calling him Governor Carney, no, I haven't done that yet, and maybe I won't. I did have a lot of fun with Trudeau. But I think this is a big step up. It's a good step up for Canada. I watched very closely. I thought he did really terrifically in the debates. I like him. You know, he's a nice man. We get along very well. We had a great meeting today. Really good. I think the relationship's going to be very strong. Thank you. Yes.
Russia is banned from playing the next World Cup. What's your position on this?
Say it again.
Russia has been banned from playing the next World Cup. What's your position on this?
I didn't know that. Is that right?
Yeah.
Do you want to explain?
That is right. They are banned for the time being, from playing. But we hope that...
He's the boss. I'm not the boss on that. I have nothing to do.
We hope that something happens and peace will happen, and then Russia can be readmitted. So... That's what we
possible.
hope.
Hey, that could be a good incentive, right? We want to get them to stop. We want them to stop. We want the 5,000 young people a week are being killed. It's not even believable. The Russian soldiers and the Ukrainian soldiers mostly. Also people in towns once every 2 weeks. Horrible things going on over there. So we're gonna get that war stopped. Okay.
About all of the events that will be happening here in the U.S. over the next few years. You mentioned the G7 and you said it used to be called the G8.
Yeah.
As the host country, you can actually invite Russia to the G7 +1. What's your thinking on that right now, Mr.
Well, Russia used to be a member of what was called then the G8. And I don't think I was really in politics at that point, but I know that President Obama didn't like it. And they... voted Russia out. And I say if they didn't vote Russia out, which I thought was a very foolish decision because it's a group of people sitting around a table. I've done it many times with them, and you get to know them. And I say that if it was the G8, if Russia were in it, I think you probably wouldn't have this ridiculous, deadly war going on right now. I thought it was a very bad decision. It was headed by Trudeau, by the way, and Obama. They were the ones that really fought hard to get Russia out. I think if Russia were in, they threw them out. And because of that, maybe millions of people are dying. Millions, millions. The numbers are far greater than you think, but millions of people are dying. If you were sitting around a table with other people, 7 people, hammering them and saying, let's not do this, I think you wouldn't probably have had the problems that you've had.
So would you make a push, Mr. President, to get Russia back into this group?
No, I think it's not good timing now. No, right now it's we missed that gate, didn't we? Huh? We missed that gate with another great decision by some people that shouldn't have been making decisions. Yes, go ahead.
Mr. President, should people who have taken part in, for example, pro-Palestinian protests across the world be concerned about being able to join the World Cup and watching here in the U.S.?
Well, I don't know what you mean by that, but people that have taken part in protests, I think people are allowed to protest. You have to do it in a reasonable manner, not necessarily friendly, but reasonable. Otherwise, Pam will come after you and you're going to have a big problem. you're going to have a big problem, right, Pam? She's doing a good job, too. Well, my whole team here is doing a fantastic job. We're very proud of them. So, yeah, you have a right to protest. Yeah, thank you. Go ahead. Yeah.
Do you support Israel's plan to conquer Gaza if Hamas doesn't agree to a deal during your visit to the Middle East?
These are very strange questions, aren't they? I never like when they read them off a machine. I don't know. Who's sending the question to you? And let's not talk about that now. We're talking about the World Cup. Go ahead. What else? Anything else? I think we're pretty well set. I want to thank everybody, and we're going to make this tremendously successful. And you can see Johnny's a very enthusiastic man. He's got great enthusiasm, and that's one of the reasons that you've had such success over the last number of years that you've been there. Amazing. He's like somebody that just woke up on Christmas morning as a young child and saw those toys under the tree. And that enthusiasm really plays very well, I have to say. And you've done a fantastic job as the head. And we're gonna do what we have to do. And thank you very much. Thank you, everybody, very much. Appreciate it.
All right, so we know June 12th, 2026, the FIFA World Cup in Los Angeles, California. That task force meeting just concluding. This all brought to you by a number of great sponsors here at Right Side, including Colonial Metals Group, freegoldguide.com/RSBN. You see the information right there on your screen. You could use that QR code if you'd like as well. We'd also like to thank All Family Pharmacy, allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. Get ivermectin and other essential medications. You could do so with a discount, RSBN10, using that code. Also on angelpaste.com, if you use the RSBN code, you'll also get a discount there out of Spring, Texas. Some great products. Angelpaste.com. Let's move on to callsheet.com/RSBN. Whether you're betting or trading on various things like science or technology, politics, sports, weather, anything like that, callsheet.com/RSBN is the place to go. Let's also go to Brightcore, mybrightcore.com/RSBN as well. So you've got that information there, 888-722-0936. We'd also like to thank MyPillow, mypillow.com/RSBN, the great Mike Lindell and the great products that he has there, the Percale bed sheets, the closeout sale, you see it right there on your screen. For all of us at Right Side Broadcasting Network, I'm Matthew Alvarez. We'll see you again soon for more live programming on RSBN Live.
Welcome to Right Side Broadcasting Network, your trusted conservative news outlet. At RSBN, we deliver the truth when the mainstream media falls short. Since 2015, we've proudly broadcasted every single one of President Trump's iconic MAGA rallies, bringing you the excitement and energy live before anyone else. By watching RSBN, you get an unfiltered front row view of the action on the ground. We interview the crowds to give a voice to millions of Americans just like you. We show you President Trump's speeches in their entirety, free from interruptions and censorship. We cover the stories that matter to you with the integrity and passion you deserve. Thank you for choosing RSBN as your home for America First News. Together, we stand strong, united, and informed. So join us and be part of the right side of history.
President Trump is keeping his promises and saving America. And your kids can learn all about it for free with a new Kids Guide to President Trump. This fun guide shows kids all the steps President Trump is taking to put America back on top of the world stage, including building a strong economy, protecting our borders, and negotiating trade deals. It's an exciting way for kids to learn about President Trump's outstanding leadership. Act now and get a free bonus guide, The Courage of the President. Order now at freetrumpbook.com. That's freetrumpbook.com.
You've heard how hard it can be to get access to medications like ivermectin, all the things they don't want you to take because they're actually effective and they don't cost all that much, right? You've seen that one before. So it's critical to have something like that on hand for any emergency and to be prepared in a time of crisis. And that's why I want to tell you about All Family Pharmacy. They're cutting through the nonsense and they make it easy to get hard to find medications when you need them most. They'll provide the prescription, no hoops to jump through, no waiting room, no hassle, and they deliver it right to your door. All Family Pharma even lets you order in bulk so you can stay ahead of the curve. Head over to allfamilypharmacy.com for 10% off your first order. Again, allfamilypharmacy.com. It's simple. Get the 10% savings. Be prepared.
Hey y'all, it's Silk from the Diamond and Silk Chit Chat live show. Look, don't forget to check me out right here on RSBN Network. Be sure to watch the show on Right Side Broadcasting Network, and I want you to support Right Side Broadcasting Network. Yes, it's imperative that you do so, okay? I look to see y'all soon. Bye-bye.
Hello, everyone. I'm excited to announce the next generation of energy drinks, Rev 7. It has no sugar and no caffeine. Instead, Rev 7 uses Go BHB. Go BHB is one of the body's primary ketones, and it provides the most efficient and clean fuel that your body needs. It also helps you stay energized all day with no crashes. Not only that, it produces 3 times more brain energy than sugar, which helps boost your memory, focus, and mental sharpness. It also helps reduce stress and helps balance your mood. Rev 7 does all that while being the best tasting energy drink ever. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to save 20% today. I'm so sure you're going to love Rev 7. For a limited time, you get our introductory 3-pack absolutely free. I drink Rev 7 every day and I absolutely love it, and so will you.